Live again. Yo, what is up, everyone? All right, it is Friday afternoon. Happy Friday. A bit rainy today. Anyway, kind of woke up not really knowing what to do. And I'll stay on the subject for a minute. It's kind of funny. I don't know if I said this before, but sometimes over the past few months and in recent days, weeks, I wake up with sort of past emotions, past mindsets of depression and stuff. And this is like those moments, those interesting moments that we study, moments like right before you fall asleep when you're conscious to being in sleep, or when you're asleep versus the moments right before you're waking up. It's like I wake up depressed about things that I was depressed about back in 2020, 2021. And it's simple because it's great because then I'm like, a few minutes later, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm awake now. It's 2026. These are old mindsets. I don't care about this stuff anymore. It's just clearly just residual emotional energy that my body was trapped inside of me from years ago, but it doesn't reflect how I feel in 2026. It's just old stuff. So I've noticed that, and I think that's pretty interesting to realize that whatever like you're struggling with something from the past that is like out of your control, or is bothering you something from the past. It's like you just have to kind of remind your body that this is an old feeling. I think that's of the basic that there is to it. You go through that thought, you get to the root of it, and you're like, yeah, this is the past. It's like these are old emotions. They don't define now. They don't define me being 25 years old at 2026. So yeah, that's just my little spiel about how I feel about that. And yeah, just continuing to show the universe, the world, the reality, whatever, that I don't care about these petty little grievances with other people. I care about the satisfyingness of making content and getting the content I make done. But yeah, there's always that element of wanting to change things up a little bit, doing more things. Most days in recent month or so, it's been fun and good to have like a morning, noon, and night sort of routine of different things. And just for some reason, just feeling the need to change that up. But like, don't fix what isn't broken type of mentality for me. There's things that biggest thing I want to improve on. I think I said in my last stream, I want to quit vaping the THC. Can't go more than a few hours without it, and it really sucks. I'd really like to get out of this crux of addiction. Like, it's like I'm grateful, very grateful to acknowledge that I no longer struggle with alcohol. I can go a month without it and stuff like that. Altogether, it's about 4.5, 5 months without it this year. So not thinking about alcohol. Uh, and with nicotine, I'm so grateful. The past 8, 9 years, I can go like weeks, months without it when I run out of it. And after like a day or two, I stop feeling any craving or any withdrawal, any urge for the nicotine. And now it's been like a week or more since I ran out of my nicotine vape and not feeling. So I'm very, very blessed that I feel blessed that I don't struggle with nicotine craving or alcohol craving. I should feel, and if you feel that way, you should feel very, very, very blessed for that, because now I'm in the crux of this. Can't go more than a few hours. And then you sleep and wake up and try to go 1, 2 hours. So that's like 9, 10 hours without it. And I'm barely even high. I took about 5 hits when I told myself I wasn't going to, and I'm barely even high. So that's what really, really, really sucks. I would really like to quit. I wrote down some decent affirmations, but my phone is somewhere else. Yeah. So let's put that topic away for a while. I feel like let me try to make a commitment to myself. I was like, I'm only gonna take 7 hits today, if that. So far, I took 4. So let's make the last 3 hits really, 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 really count, because I would really, really, really like to not smoke. And if it's about weaning off, then maybe I'll allow myself to smoke 1 or 2 or 3 hits tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. So that means I'll have to go the morning, afternoon without it. So yeah, let's put away the topic of getting those uncomfortable, annoying things under control. I think one last thing I'll say about that. I think what might be beneficial to me is actually getting a piece of paper and a pencil and writing down being like, okay, why do I feel like it's difficult? Why does this particular memory or particular feeling or particular thought make me feel kind of helpless and want to take a hit just for mildly less discomfort when I know it's not really going to get me high and it's going to affect my health, such as with the coughing and spitting and stuff. Crazy, crazy. How is this? How have I convinced myself that this is at all a solution when it makes me cough, increases my heart rate, blood pressure, probably just makes me cough and spit up? And I have convinced myself for 10 plus years that this is a solution because of the sort of gamble you take when you do get really high and it's fun. But yeah, anyway, let's redirect and stop staying in that distressing mindset. I think, like I said, if I'm struggling, then I should take down a piece of paper and a pencil and ask myself the question, answer the question, why do I feel like this thought or this moment or this sadness or this feeling, this past thing is going to trigger me to want to smoke, and why is it not going to solve it? Just asking myself those smart questions, I think. Yeah. So let's move on to the main meat of what we're going to do this Friday afternoon on the stream today. Reacting to some Doctor Who stuff. Heck yes. Some Doctor Who reviews. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said before in previous streams, it's really nice how with my favorite shows in the past recent couple of years, I'm taking decent sparing breaks from watching them for like month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Just like iCarly, Drake, and Josh, I was watching those a lot over the years. Last year I was watching them a lot. Those shows that I loved. And it's like, yeah, you don't want to beat the nostalgia to the ground. Take a month or most of the year without watching your favorite shows to try to expand your taste. Now it's been like a few weeks since I've rewatched Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. Still top 3 shows. It's been about over a week since over a week, almost 2 weeks since I finished watching Better Call Saul and rewatching episodes that I love. I love Better Call Saul. Not a huge fan of season 1 compared to how richly cinematic and vibrant the color tone and thematic narrative and character map payoffs for characters like Nacho, Lalo, Gus, Kim, Chuck, and Howard. Just how it just gets more cinematic as it goes on. Where at first it almost starts off as a straight lawyer comedy, because that's what like Bob Odenkirk bought, was the comic relief to Breaking Bad, even though Breaking Bad still had a lot of funny moments in the dialogue. But yeah, that whole thing about freaking Saul being like, yep, truth is Walter White could not have done it without me. Yep, just an amazing true line, and Walter would hate him saying that, but who cares? It's so true. Jesse could have had a moment like that, but instead with Jesse, it was all about, man, they kept me trapped in a cage for months. I don't even know what month it is. And the guy, I forgot his name, Ed, the vacuum repair guy who sets people up with new identities. He's like, it seems to me that you and your partner made your own luck. You could try this year's empathy with the police. Yeah, that's just straight up true. It's like Ed doesn't have any sympathy for Jesse. He probably doesn't know the extent on the news, the extent of the suffering Jesse had to go through. But yeah, from his perspective, Walt Jesse made millions from cooking meth, people's lives being destroyed. Yeah, Ed is going to want the full payment to help Jesse. I've said this before on stream, I'm sure I have. And then there's that El Camino blooper, which is just hilarious. How do I talk about this? It's just better worth being experienced. It's a blooper where Jesse, Aaron Paul is at Alaska when it's really Albuquerque with snow. And Ed brings him there, and Jesse's like, what? It's so cold. You didn't tell me it's gonna be cold here. You know what? Take me back. I don't want to do this anymore. They should have left something like that in. Because like I said, I do think the ending of El Camino is a little disappointing. Just a random memory from him and Jane. Feel like, yeah, would have liked a different kind of ending. Anyway. We are reacting to Quentin Reviews, End of Time. I'm playing the last 10 minutes of it. He made a really interesting point. Of course, we watched this sham woohoo the other night, last night. So what do we have here? This bad boy. 30 minutes in.
The end is nigh. Well, nothing is happening. In Day, they're in an actual physical room with a lot of stuff going.
He's making the point that in Day of the Doctor, when we see this Time Lord Citadel room of important Time Lords, there feels like there's stakes without even having the dialogue there. Him showing the B-roll, you feel like you're in the middle of a war. An imminent bad thing is gonna happen. You feel it, and compared to End of Time, feels like nothing's happening. Like they're just sitting in a room. That is such a good point.
Going on in it. In comparison, all the scenes in this special involving the Time Lords are them standing amongst mildly composited CGI, or them literally in front of what looks like a giant black cloth. There is nothing to look at in these scenes. It feels like an old cartoon that never got a proper background. We're just stuck here with nothing in our eyesight but the worst James Bond spitting all over the lens in glorious 1080p.
Anyway, I don't think Timothy Dalton is the worst James Bond, and I like his 2 James Bond movies. He's like a darker James Bond. Anyway, what was I going to say? Cartoony is a term to describe a lot of different parts of Doctor Who. I will use that term. It looks cartoonish. End of Time, when you consider it, I think, it's cheesy. And a certain number of times watching it, by around 2011, 2012, I'm like, yeah, I probably don't think it's as good as I used to. But there was times, even by high school, 2016-ish, that I was like, yes, I still love End of Time. But what I'm trying to say, last few times I watched it, yes, the goodbye with the Doctor and all his companions, that feels a bit long. However, I think some of the acting is really damn top-notch and immersive, like him with Wilf handing him the gun, Wilf just being like, just leave me. I really think that's still some captivating acting. The foreshadowing is that the Doctor's mom, playing peekaboo there, is that the Doctor's mom with the sort of Doctor's theme. Oh, man, I really don't remember. I've been thinking about this the past few months. Can anyone tell me or remember off the top of their heads which Doctor Who episode? It must be from the Tennant era, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's from the Smith era at all. Was the Doctor's theme ever used in the Smith era either? Yeah. My question is, there's this version of the Doctor's theme that I remember that I don't remember which episode from. Best educated guess off the top of my head now that I say that out loud might be Fear Her. Fear Her, is that the season 2 one? I'm talking about the version of the Doctor's theme that sounds kind of eerie. Might potentially even be from Midnight. Might potentially be from Turn Left. But it's the version of the Doctor's theme where it's like, ah, I'm not doing it right. It's like, ah, it's like melodic children voices singing the Doctor's theme as opposed to the it's like, like, what episode was that from? Was that from Fear Her? I really wish I could remember. Yeah, let me try to look it up if I can. What do I even look up? Melodic version of the Doctor's theme. Guess I'll just have to rewatch Fear Her. I don't have HBO Max right now for the past month or so. Probably will have to resubscribe to that because I don't watch modern Doctor Who as much. The Doctor, was it in Forest of the Dead? Let's see. I have to answer this question. See, this is the typical Doctor's theme. I'm looking for the more breathier version. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Alright, let me find this other one. This might be it. It's saying different vocals arranged. So let's see. Yeah, Forest of the Night in this YouTube comment here that I'm seeing. Forest of the Dead. This is probably the first time the Doctor has heard his name since the Time War. Oh, it might be from the Bad Wolf episode, what I'm thinking of. Alright, let's... That was exactly what I was thinking of. Wow, I literally have goosebumps all over my arm. But the music, not the vocal part. The vocal part was the part I was thinking of. The part where it is in the Doctor's theme. Not exactly. So I'm guessing the next thing to look for is from the Bad Wolf episode. Was this the only... Yeah, that's the vocal part I'm thinking of. So I'm thinking the variant that I'm looking for, based on what people are commenting on this video, might be from Bad Wolf. If not, then I'm gonna check Fear Her. Yeah, that was exactly so good. Yeah. All right, let's try to find that. Could it be this one? No, no. Was it used in End of the World? Nah. Alright, which... I don't think it was used in Dalek. It feels like a lullaby, doesn't it? It feels like so good. I think it is Bad Wolf. I think it might be this one. I'm gonna be so happy if I found it. No! It's a good one. It's a good one, but it's not the... It's a good one. That was it? I'm disappointed. I think I have to just look up the Doctor's theme variant. Do I do that a little later? Or do I keep trying to find my thing? Not that one. There's so many Doctor theme variants, aren't there? But it's not this one. This is another Doctor theme variant. No, this is from Christmas Invasion. It might have been used in Christmas Invasion. It might have. Like when the residual regeneration energy is coming out of the Doctor's mouth. To me, that's where a scene like that would play. I was close. No, I don't think this is it. That was almost close. That was almost something. That was almost like what I'm talking about. Damn it! I'm sure I'm close to finding it. watch this be the one. I don't remember it being from this episode, Army of Ghosts. Could have been. I did watch that episode recently, a few months ago. Rewatched. Please be it. Although I don't remember it being from this episode. Yeah. This is a good one. This is a good one. I'll share the screen. I'm getting so off topic from the actual Doctor Who review. Yeah. So, could it have been from Impossible Planet? Or Satan Pit? Just because I see Doctor's theme. Yeah, sorry guys, I don't think that was the one either. Could it be this one? I'm gonna be so happy when I finally find the one that I'm thinking of. No. It's a good one. It's a good one, but not the one I was thinking. I'm sure if I Google it, something would pop up. I don't think it was in this one. Was it ever used in Series 3? Was it ever used in Series 3? So literally, the closest one that we heard was that Forest of the Dead one. And low-key, now that I think about it, the freaking I Am the Doctor theme is actually way more badass. It actually is way more badass. This is a good one. Yeah, that's good. That is a good one. Any others that would make me close? I wish I could actually remember the episode that I'm thinking of, but Forest of the Night was the closest. Forest of the Dead. This is a different one from Forest of the Dead than the one that I first listened to. The one that I first listened to was this one right above it. This is a 4-minute one. Hopefully we have some vocals here. Please, please, please be there. It's close. Not exactly what I was thinking of, but the closer we're gonna get with the vocal. Let's play that. Something tells me it must have been from Fear. Could have been from so many episodes. Could have been from the Cybermen, Rise of Cybermen. This is so important for me to find. Yeah, this is not exactly the one that I was looking for. Anyway, Doctor's theme variant. That was the closest. And I'm a fucking idiot, aren't I? I was literally watching a review of End of Time from Quentin Reviews, and the sound that I was thinking of was right under my nose the whole time. It was from The End of Time. But if I hadn't not thought of that, then I wouldn't have gone on that little tangent where I found like 2 or 3 different variations of the Doctor's theme that were like that feeling when you read a screenplay of one of your favorite episodes of one of your favorite shows, or choose music, listen to the soundtrack choices from one of your favorite shows. That feeling, so important to me. So important. But yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking of. I feel like, am I having a Mandela effect, or was this version used in earlier episodes? Clearly, it was used for a few second variant in that River Song Forest of Dead episode. So it could have been used in previous episodes, not just End of Time, but this is pretty much the variant I was thinking of. But for some reason in my head, there's a version of it just being the acapella where the background music scoring part was quiet and it was just the vocal. How do I look up if that was in Fear Her? Fear Her Doctor's theme. I have no clue. And I haven't watched, feels like I haven't watched Fear Her in about 12 years or something, 13 plus years maybe. So it could be a different episode. Let me just one last time look up Doctor's theme variants on Google to see. Spotify. I think pretty much the End of Time is the one that we just listened to. The one. Sorry if it feels like I'm getting super off topic. Let me play the Bad Wolf version one last time. See, you can see how it's similar. Kind of can get confused in your head a little. This looks fun to watch. Sorry if we're getting a little off topic here, but before we go back to the Quentin Reviews video, I'm so grateful that we found this bad boy. I was literally talking about this scene without realizing that this was the score that I was looking for. Every episode, the Doctor's theme plays in. Rose. Not this version.
By the earth.
Not this version.
I'm Bad Wolf.
Maybe this
But
version.
I've heard that before. Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf.
How can they be following us? Sometimes.
Everywhere we go.
I've heard that before. What's it mean?
Bad Wolf.
Fun. That was fun.
Which means I've got just enough residual cellular energy to do this. If I get back in touch, if you talk to Rose, just tell her.
This is a good one.
A storm's approaching.
Your friend! The one you lost! Did she trust
This is
you?
a good one.
Yes, she did. You're really not looking at yourself.
This is
Can't
good.
even get in it. Ordinary airlock, but nothing fits. But that's not the big question.
These are quite the
I
variants.
saw people just like you living as slaves.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if Martha Jones
This
became a legend,
variant.
then that's wrong. Because
The last four that we heard just now, the last four are quite distinct. This is quite the variant too.
my name isn't important. There's someone else. The man who sent me out there. The man who told me to walk the earth. Lives never. Off we go then.
You're home.
How's there 10 minutes left?
Every day.
It is turn left, but also end of time. It is turn left. Okay.
The doctor is dead. Must have happened too fast for him to regenerate.
This is the one. This is the one that I was thinking. Where there's less of that background music, more of the hums. That was absolutely. Turn left is one of my favorites. So let me look up if I can find that one. That was dope. How is there 10 minutes left of that video? Turn left, Doctor's theme. Saving this. Jesus Christ, man. That was exactly what I was looking for. See, you don't give up, and you find exactly what you were looking for. Amazing, amazing. So, satisfying right there. Mission accomplished. But how is there 10 minutes left of this video? Oh, yeah, because the Doctor's theme looks like it was used in Into the Dalek, looks like it was used in Time of the Doctor. The only time I can remember it off the top of my head after this era was, in fact, Twice Upon a Time. I didn't realize it was used so much in the Moffat era. I felt like Twice Upon a Time, the regeneration, was the only most distinct moment I can remember the Doctor's theme being played in the Moffat era. Of course, it's going to be there. Interstellar.
Not him. The delta rate is at 95%. You need to.
The doctor.
Not there.
I don't really hear how any of these sound like the Doctor's theme.
The delta wave is at 95%. You need to.
I don't hear how Interstellar Song Contest sounds like Doctor's theme.
Not him.
The delta wave is at 95%. You need to.
No. That is such a stretch. I don't hear it. I don't remember it being in. Oh, so it was really not used at all in the Whittaker era. Interesting. I do overall will say that I think the Whittaker era is better than the Gatwa era. The Gatwa era, looking back, is pretty cringe. A lot of it. Twice Upon a Time it was used. Looks like it was used in Pyramid at the end. See, kind of forgettable, kind of subtle. Pyramid at the End of the World. It's like a 7, 8 out of 10 at best. Yeah, good, decent remix, kind of subtle. Twice Upon a Time, obvious. Yeah, we all know that.
What did you say? Did you mention the rules? Now you're feeling brave. Darling, rules! Hey, Mark.
That's not the Doctor's theme. Maybe it has some inspiration from the Doctor's theme in there somewhere, but that is a amalgamation of epic I Am the Doctor type 50th anniversary special type showdown. It's great, but that is not the Doctor's theme. I want to play it again because it's good. Oh yeah, this.
I'm sorry.
Impossible Planets. Impossible Astronaut: Day of the Moon. Series 5 was what I tuned into, but it was already released by that time I was watching. So this was the first Doctor Who episode that was new that I tuned in to watch. That was premiering in 2011. And yeah, this fake out regeneration, I was like, what are they doing? But of course, something like the score will save it.
I'm sorry.
If you could get your hands on a brand
Where was the Doctor's theme in that? They're just stretching after this.
Who's got Pandora? Answer. I do. Next question.
Where was the Doctor's theme in that? Alright, this video is getting waffly, but overall, it helped me find what I was looking for, so I'm going to give it a like. Alright, now back to what we were doing before that. Ooh, that was fun. Alright, y'all. Back to Quinton review. Ooh. Alright, let's go. Can't believe it's been almost 40 minutes I've been streaming.
The effects in the special are pretty crap, really. Sure, there's some nice 3D shots here and there.
This is why sound design is so important, man. Like what he's saying with Day of the Doctor, even without hearing the dialogue or music, you still feel like you're in the midst of a war. Valid points here.
You can always tell when a green screen is being used, and that's pretty much the high standard for what we have to look forward to here. Check out this shot, where the production team tries to make you think that this room is collapsing by dropping a random piece of wood in front of the camera. That's how I would do that effect, and I make movies for absolutely no money, and I film in buildings without permission. Self-deprecation aside, I expect more from the BBC than what I could do.
Anyways, the Doctor boots the ship back up and prepares to head down to Earth to finally face the Master again. Master has already brought back the Time Lords.
Badass.
And here we learn that each party has their
Hell
own
is
clever
descending.
secret little plan. The Master wants to turn all of the Time Lords into him to make even more Master clones.
Badass.
In response, Rassilon undoes all of the transformations so far.
The trans-
It then turns out that the Time Lords
The
want to
Obama
destroy
transformation.
themselves to ascend into higher forms.
We will ascend to become creatures of consciousness alone.
What? Like an MST3K?
Hey guys,
What's up?
Oh, we're just at the edge of the universe.
Oh, so that's it. No.
I don't find Mystery Science Theater that funny, like the quips that they make. Maybe I have to rewatch it at some point.
On the slightest bit, not 1 minute. The Doctor then has a strong moral moment. Shoot the Time Lords, or shoot the Master.
I'd just like to point out that this is the guy you're looking for. Shoot him.
Yeah.
No, it's him. No, it's him. No.
No, it's him. It's him.
No, he's the one.
That's literally what's happening.
Then the Doctor sees a woman in white cowering next to Rassilon, and he recognizes her fully, leaving him to shoot the machine, bringing the Time Lords there, sending them back. Rassilon tries to kill the Doctor at the last moment, but the Master intervenes and gets sucked back into the Time War as well.
And it's pretty much my favorite regeneration. I think I said 9th Doctor to 10th Doctor was my favorite when I made the ranking of the regenerations, but just how much this impacted me. Let's see what he has to say about this. Oh, this one made me cry last time I watched it too. 11th Doctor's one made me cry.
Generating. But that David Tennant isn't going to be in the show anymore. Because it isn't written like someone's about to go through a major change. It's written like David Tennant isn't going to be in the show anymore. Compare the final speeches of 10 and 11, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. 11 talks about how change is sad, but change is important. And while he'll always look back on the time when he was the Doctor with fondness, he has to keep moving. 10?
I don't want to go.
What a shit introduction to the new Doctor. The 11th Doctor had an immediate hard time getting many fans to not hate him, and a lot of the blame can go straight towards this one off.
It doesn't go all towards that line because as we know, they had other versions where he was crying more emotional versions of this take of this line, and they're like, it kind of disrespects the character a little bit. And I think most critics, most people will agree this whole line is a bit of a misdirection of a final line. Something about it is a bit cool. Something about it is like, what is it? What would you describe as immune to criticism a little bit? It's just a transition between one Doctor to another. There's so many other elements to enjoy about it. The flashiness, the destruction of the TARDIS, the transition, Matt Smith jumping into the role, legs, I still got legs. I would love, I have a bad British accent, my British accent's okay, but I would love to recreate, if I wanted to recreate any Doctor Who scene, it would be Matt Smith after he regenerated from the 10th Doctor. All that spiel.
Awful line.
Hands or fingers.
Man, them feels sure are good. Ooh, I'm sure they snuck in that big dem feels moment in there. I'm feeling them feels right now. Almost forgot. Before he dies, he goes and visits Bab. It works because it's so weird. Rose, nice teeth. Rose Tyler once again had.
What is he gonna say?
To have the nice pair put back in.
New teeth.
Yeah. Regenerates alone in his TARDIS, and quickly pops his own dedicated sad song and regenerates alone in his TARDIS, and quickly pops out Matt Smith in one of the most surreal and iconic regeneration sequences of all time.
I love it.
It's surreal because it's Matt Smith, exactly how we're going to know him in the next episode.
Yeah.
But the divide between the end of time and the 11th hour is very large. In tone, in direction, in style, in quality, everything changes in the 21
and
minutes.
I fucking love it.
And really, that's for the.
Yep. Gonna have a hard time winning audiences after the iconic Tennant era, but it absolutely won audiences at a terribly difficult job, but it terrifically succeeded. Matt Smith's still my favorite modern Doctor, pretty much still top 3, probably second favorite Doctor. Still. Anyway, before I move on to these videos by Quentin Reviews, this would probably be fun to watch what he has to say about Utopia Sound and Drums Last Time Lords. I rewatched this around the time I started reviewing Doctor Who on my channel, like 5-6 months ago. But before I do that, I kind of want to watch. I phrased that really badly. 11th Doctor and End of Time. I should have said 10th Doctor regenerates. don't think there's going to be a good looking 4K version. Unscored, huh? But the score is what makes it great. Come on. You know what? Screw it. Let's try to listen, see how it plays out unscored. Unscored is quite a vibe, you know. Kind of messing with this, but the score was so good. Skillful legs. Waiting for that one. Bam, bam, pow. That is an amazing shot. Boom, pow. What a transition. What a clean transition. They never do a cleaner transition than that in the 15, 20 years.
I still got legs. Good.
Still got legs.
Arms, hands,
ooh, fingers.
Lots of fingers. Ears.
Yes,
eyes too, nose. And I've had worse too.
Blimey.
Hair.
I'm a girl.
I'm a girl. No. I'm not a girl. No. I'm still not Ginger.
The score just amplifies.
Something important. I'm
11th Doctor never changed from this energy.
crashing.
11th Doctor kept this entire energy his whole run. The score just absolutely elevates it. Geronimo! What a catchphrase, Geronimo. Alright, man. Fantastic. Alright. That was fun. Let's go back to Quentin reviews. This is 50th anniversary stories that were released around that time. Ooh, nice backdrop. Is this part 2? 4 part. Oh, it's, Hey, yo, get to the point.
2 months that I created content, I tried my very best to piece together exactly what made the show work. Very chair at this very spot and put forward a new idea for a YouTube channel. An investigation of various Who media of all shapes and sizes. Throughout those few months that
I hesitate to review Big Finish because it is fun to be experienced and it's not for all audiences. I do consider reviewing various forms of Who media. It's a little bit difficult because it's a bit of like one of those acquiring tastes that you come back to every few months, if you're like me.
created content,
But I love Big Finish.
I tried my very best to piece together exactly what made the show work, while also figuring out where it had been misunderstood in the past.
Yeah.
I did this pretty badly, and I often forgot that this was my mission statement at all, but in the end, I think I can say that I did come to a conclusion about why Doctor Who was such a long-lasting and beloved series.
The potential.
Because it is able to constantly change to feel like a new program.
It can go into any and all types of sci-fi, types of horror, action. It's like the epitome, the totality of sci-fi, of what sci-fi and science fiction had been building to. Sci-fi in terms of like cheesy 50s, 60s B movies, and then science fiction as in H.G. Wells. All of those different shades of genres, subgenres in sci-fi, Doctor Who can execute.
The original concept for this show was that it was going to culminate in a final big video. A look back at the anniversary season of 2013, ranking the best to very best. And since I'm, for some reason, deciding to sit down and celebrate the start of my show, even as I openly resent it, I think it's only fair for me to finally try and sit down to finish off that list. So let's not waste any time. This is the top 10 anniversary stories of 2013. Number 10. If everything on this list is part of a substantial feast, the name of the doctor is the bread rolls that you don't technically pay for. It is a complimentary treat meant to stop you from getting too grouchy when the actual main course takes a while to get to your table.
Good way to put it.
But you know what?
Because there's things to really enjoy about Name of the Doctor as a good, solid, overall good episode. But there's also genuinely good criticisms, very valid criticisms, like the overimportance of Clara in the Doctor's timeline. Yeah. Overall, I'd still call it a good episode, but what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Forgot what I was going to say, sorry.
Even if the rolls aren't as amazing an experience as the thick, layered Reuben sandwich I get later on, I would be lying if I said that I didn't always
Not a huge
instinctively
fan of Reuben sandwiches.
reach out for one of those glossy globs of gluten to shimmer up some more. Name of the Doctor is meant to appease fans of the classic series by having a barrage of cameos and flashbacks to the past alongside a conclusion to this year's equivalent of Bad Wolf, as well as a prequel to Smith's finale. Name of the Doctor tries to wrap up the overarching plot structure of Clara Oswald that the season had been trying to do, and it does it okay, I guess. It could have been done better, and it could have
been done better, right? The whole build-up with Clara, the impossible girl that the Doctor doesn't understand. Sometimes it got pretty captivating, like Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. Overall, I consider that a good episode. I talked about that before. Yeah, I guess the payoff, you could argue, with the ending maybe could have been more satisfying. Anyway, I wanted to look up something. I was about to Google search something and I just forgot. God dang it. Anyway, I'm going to take a real quick bathroom break. Oh, yeah. What I wanted to look up real quick is I'm going to check my email just real quick just to see if I got any copyright claim while I was streaming. Because if I watch Doctor Who on stream, good chance I will get a copyright claim. So let me just check to see if any of that. So far, stream is good. Yeah, no copyright email or anything. All right. Yep, let me just take a quick little bathroom break. BRB. Still very rainy outside. Wow. Yeah, I really like when over the months past 6+ maybe 1 year, I like when there's not that many videos in my watch later playlist. Of course, when there's like over like 20 to 40, it feels manageable to watch within like a day, weekend, week, 20 to 40, and then like 50 to like 100 or more than 100. It's like those must be on topics that I really wanted to do a bit of a dive into on those days when it reaches the hundreds. Last time it reached the hundreds was like a couple times in recent months. But no, I love when I have my watch later playlist with like 2 or 3 videos at most. 7 to like 17 videos is pretty manageable. But yeah, I like keeping it small. Yeah. How many do we have here? 20. Yeah.
Equal to
nice small number there, because it was only like these 3 that you've probably seen in my last few streams. We have a nice healthy gut flora balance, subliminal, then these reviews, and then as you can see, like I said, trying to quit smoking. So I have a bunch of hypnosis, subliminal frequency detoxing type of mindset to be like every breath that I take makes it easy for me to not want to smoke anymore. But not there yet, barely a few hours without this thing. I'm gonna take like 2-3 more hits and then call it a day with this thing. What time is 1:40? All right, let's move forward.
Smith's finale. Name of the Doctor tries to wrap up the overarching plot structure of Clara Oswald that the season had been trying to do, and it does it okay, I guess. It could have been done better, and it could have been done much worse. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting. I thought our Clara would be the splinter of the problem encountered by the Doctor, not the master copy herself.
Man, yeah, I remember they said they were gonna make the Oswald. Was it Clara Oswald by Snowman? Abominable Snowman?
Would be the splinter of the problem.
They were gonna make her the main Clara. That's such a good choice. I've said before, we need more alien type of companions. Nardole was such a success. We need more alien type of companions and like older prehistoric companions. This is like more interesting. It's more interesting. I know you're trying to make the show more marketable by having a young British, typically girl, to be like a placeholder for the audience traveling with the Doctor to make it more relatable and more marketable. But no, for fans like me, I've always said it's so much more interesting if the Doctor had alien companions like Leela, like Romana, alien companions. Yeah. She's not an alien, but a prehistoric, not prehistoric, hundreds of years from a different timeline is also very interesting. But we already had that with Nissa's interesting, but not from a different timeline, from a different planet. Captain Jack was from a different timeline. Yeah. Are there other companions that are from different timelines? Vicky. Of course, Jamie. Of course, Zoe. Ace. Wait, Ace was from contemporary times, but got lifted into space. You know what? Now I'm trying to watch, because how do you explain how Ace ended up where she did in Dragonfire?
Hey everyone, these guys recently gave me
I've watched this video many times since it came out, because you agree Ace is pretty much the best companion. She was very well thought out. She had this motivation where her friend dealt with racism, and you just see what drove her to make the decisions, badass things that she does.
Shout out to their people, because they're also a show that we're all utterly obsessed with. They really are quite brilliant.
Five Who fans, last time I watched them about 6 months ago when I was making my Doctor Who videos. Yeah, their type of humor, how do I describe it? It's a bit stupid, a bit crazy. I don't know how to describe exactly without showing you guys how to describe their humor. I wouldn't necessarily come back to it because it's the type of humor that makes me want to look at it more stupid, you know? It's not a very like genuinely critical lens that it looks at Doctor Who. It looks at it as a what type of jokes can we throw at it type of thing. It's hard to describe. It's very much in its own lane. Five Who fans. Have I watched one of their videos on stream before? I hesitate to do that because just knowing how I feel about their humor, but that might be something interesting to kind of talk about. So let me just go to the 5 Who fans page real quick. Should I do that while this video is playing on the screen?
Anyway, on with the show.
Skip the theme and copyright.
I care, and I overanalyze too much because, whatever, it's just my opinion.
5.
So, this week I thought I'd offer some thoughts on my favourite and probably the most interesting, overlooked and underrated Doctor Who companion, Ace. Ace was basically an anarcho-punk reworking of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So, yes, naturally, someone outside of canon did get them to reveal that yes, her real name is Dorothy. Ace was a 16-year-old girl keen on explosions, and when she first got introduced in the campy and stupid space pantomime Dragonfire, you didn't really get that much of a sense of just how messed up her life was by that age, but as time went on, we got more details.
Yeah.
This is how you craft an enigmatic character.
But it's still kind of stupid. What's the explanation for how Ace ended up in Dragonfire? Did she explode? It's weirdly explained, and you just kind of suspend your disbelief. How did Ace end up in Dragonfire? I'm sure there's a line in Dragonfire that explains it, and I've watched Dragonfire a few times, but what's the actual explanation? Guess I'll have to read the plot of Dragonfire to get the answer to that. She was propelled forward in time when a mysterious time storm appeared in her bedroom while she was trying to experiment with the explosive Nitro 9. That is insane. I'm trying to wrap my mind around how the Doctor tried to use her as a pawn, was basically trying to prepare her. It probably has no relation to the mysterious time storm, but you almost think that something about the Doctor manipulated a mysterious time storm so that him and Ace would cross paths like that. That's the only explanation, and you just kind of buy it. That's what it says here on the Wikipedia. She was propelled forward with a mysterious time storm. I'll probably share the screen. All right. That was from the Dragonfire Wikipedia page. This is the Ace page. Blowing up the art room as a creative statement. Inner room experimenting with nitroglycerin and gelignite when an explosion. Oh, Fenric created that time storm. What the F? See, I've been abstaining from trying my best to not use swear words, but what the fuck? Fenric was the revelation. Yeah. The way the vibe of everything is revealed when Fenric and the Doctor at the end of Curse of Fenric are revealing all the things, but to summarize it is too difficult right now. Because Curse of Fenric, you watch it so many times and then you don't watch it anymore. But it's still probably top 10 for me. So was Fenric and the Doctor co-conspiring? He has her meet, yeah, it's almost manipulation how he has her meet her mother as a baby, which is, yeah. So you just kind of buy it. Yeah, this character, she's flawed, a little bit rowdy, but smart with chemistry and a little bit with artistic statements, experimenting with bomb stuff, nitroglycerin, and just an explosion attracts this storm, time traveling storm, dimensional shifting storm. You just buy into it because it's 80s Doctor Who. Yeah, greatest show in the galaxy, Remembrance of the Daleks, Silver Nemesis, Happiness Patrol, great stuff, all of these. So Fenric, evil Fenric from the beginning of the universe, has this long century-stretching scheme that involves the Doctor and Ace being companions, and the Doctor kind of having to put Ace under this pressure. And she handles it really, really well. Genetic instructions to free Fenric in her DNA so it can evolve. You're using the allegory of a wolf that has it within Ace that has the DNAs of the descendants with Fenric's bloodline to free Fenric to evolve humans into vampires. That is insane, and you love it. I could do a little bit without some of the religious connotations. Don't really care about that, but that's not really the point. I still love it. Okay, so that was pretty well explained and kind of elevates what we love about Curse of Fenric and Ghostlight. Let's go back to the Stu Backfull video.
Listening, Moffat, you don't have to make her the MacGuffin in your plot and this mystery that needs to be figured out. Making her part of your sci-fi plot doesn't directly make her interesting. Experiences that
Hey, but Ace is kind of the MacGuffin. There's other terms, isn't there? There's so many like little terms like MacGuffin. Deus Ex Machina. A MacGuffin is an object device that is necessary to the plot motivation of the character. Plot device, pretty much. MacGuffin versus what did I just say? What did I just say? Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina is when an improbable, sort of godlike character device suddenly fixes the untangible plot. Gotcha. But I'm thinking of other plot devices like the bomb. Is that what it's called? The Kuleshov effect, or Hitchcock's bomb. These sort of tension building devices. I'm sure I'll stumble upon those again at some point. The Kuleshov effect is basically about the language of editing, right? Let's try to see what the definition for the Kuleshov effect. mental phenomenon where the meaning of an interaction between two sequential shots, two isolated single shots that don't mean much alone, but they have an interesting scientific effect on our emotions when they are put together. And so basically, this effect demonstrates how the context provided by surrounding images can influence the audience emotion. Yeah, basically what I said. Yeah, it's a simple understanding. Okay, so it also kind of involves leaving out a scene's establishing shot, which has become rarer, I think, with the way television and film is constructed, pretty much in today's day and age, unless it's like a YouTube video, YouTube short film that kind of they start in the middle. Other than that, establishing shots have been pretty necessary, and I like establishing shots. I like B-roll. All right, anyway. What is it called? Hitchcock's Bomb? What I'm thinking of? Hitchcock's Bomb. Bomb under the table? Let's see what the definition for that is. Hitchcock and the ticking bomb. Hitchcock's bomb theory, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Hitchcock is great. The bomb must never go off. Well-timed shocks. Basically just about building suspense and anticipation from a tension building device that never actually explodes. How do you do that? Suspense is necessary because shock factor does not last. Not good with suspense, at making suspense. All right, let's continue with the video.
Shape a character.
Survival.
That is what does. Ace was a normal teenage girl from the 80s who messed up shit happened to just by chance. She was conceited, but she didn't like to show it because of some of the really screwed up stuff that happened to her, and that developed her tough girl demeanor as a reaction to it. When she was a teenager, her best friend was killed when a racist group firebombed her flat, and she despises her mother to the point of violence, who we don't get that much info on, but that was the best left unexplained portion of the plot because it could get a bit too dark for a show for all ages. And it just added to the interesting mystery that was this character who found opening up emotionally very difficult. The writers mostly decided to delve into this because they realized after the campy and stupid...
I'm pretty sure this was one of the reasons after this video came out, 2014, I was like, a character like Lil Uzi Vert would make such a good Doctor Who companion. A Doctor Who companion who's like from like a sort of rough neighborhood maybe, and like just wants to make music and is considered cool by his peers because he's a bit of a trendsetter, but you know he has all these background flaws and distressing things that he's probably dealt with growing up, but chooses to be like this vulnerable melodic rapper that brings people together, sets trends. I think that would be and gets to see the universe with the Doctor. I think that would be a great companion if a character like Lil Uzi Vert was a Doctor Who companion.
Space pantomime that, okay, Ace was an ordinary teenage girl who was swept up in a time storm after she was experimenting with some explosions in her room one night and was stranded alone on an ice planet. Adapting and surviving in such a weird and intimidating situation for a young person, that takes an incredibly strong character. And no, she's not just my favorite just because she was interesting. The fact she was a fucking badass definitely added to that. I'd wager that 8 out of the top 10 coolest things ever done by a companion character are definitely Ace years, with a couple more interesting things on board. If I could describe it as anything, the 7th Doctor is Walter White and Ace is Jesse.
Yeah.
Because you do get a sense throughout their relationship building.
I didn't know Stu Badful had watched Breaking Bad. He's never talked about it. I forgot that he said it in this. But what was it? He just made a Malcolm in the Middle video. I didn't watch all of it, but I don't remember him mentioning Breaking Bad in that. Oh, he has made a video on Breaking Bad. Well, I'm gonna have to watch it. I didn't realize that existed. From Stu Badful, pretty much my favorite TV critic.
Doctor is testing Ace and priming her for something. Yet the 7th Doctor isn't well liked by some fans, some very, very wrong fans, because he's kind of a devious bastard if you think about it. He was basically priming and testing Ace to see if she was capable of joining the Time Lord Academy on Gallifrey and becoming a Time Lord. This was only mildly hinted at in the last series.
See, Ace handled it really well, because in a certain situation, you could argue, if people want to argue, that Walter White did absolutely nothing wrong. 7th Doctor, all he really did, he brought her back to a mansion, a house where something crazy traumatic happened to her in her childhood. But she responded to it pretty well. Doctor just dropped that kind of casually. What else was kind of the time frame in Curse of Fenric where Ace meets her mother as a baby? Pretty manipulative, but pretty casual right there. She handled it pretty damn well. What else was manipulative? Was that pretty much it? Yeah.
But damn, was it an interesting idea. The 7th Doctor and Ace probably have the most complicated companion-doctor relationship in the show's history. And it...
Yeah. Maybe Martha and the Doctor. Maybe Adric and the Doctor. I feel like Nyssa could have gotten more to do.
It was all incredibly subtle and a demonstration
Harry and the Doctor was pretty complicated, but I love the way 6th Doctor just kind of they warm up to each other.
So the show can work on multiple levels. Yeah, this is just a further argument against people telling us cynics to shut up because, well, it is a kid's show. It can't be as deep as you're saying it should be. Bollocks. The 7th Doctor's era had scary clowns, cat people, a robot made out of licorice all sorts, and it had 2 main characters. One is duplicitous, and one is an angry tearaway. And they had an incredibly complicated relationship and depth to their character arcs. This is effort. The shitty Narnia Christmas special wasn't. And out of all the companions, I will just go out and say Sophie Aldred's probably the best actress of the bunch. Not to cast doubt on all the others, and it did take her a while to fully get to grips with the role, but watching stuff like Curse of Fenric...
Best actress? Yeah. Can't really think of... Like Jamie, Zoe Victoria, a lot of good actors, but Ace... really good actor.
Yeah. Sophie Aldred clearly knows this character inside out, and her performance is incredibly realistic, and it does make you forget that you're watching an actress playing a character, and you really buy into it. One of the weirdest things that people come out with when rebutting why Clara is boring and not a character is that, well, all of the old companions are just sounding boards for the Doctor. Yes, in theory, within the show's formula that it has in place to keep working, but if the companions are meant to be nothing more than sounding boards, then why is Sarah Jane more popular than half the Doctors? The only reason that people...
Oh, you think about that. I wouldn't necessarily clump Sarah Jane into overrated, but wouldn't put her in one of my favorites, but is very, very, very popular. But yeah, I don't agree that the companion is the sounding board for the Doctor. I would agree the companion is the placeholder for the audience, as if the audience is going to travel with this alien Doctor. Not much of a sounding board. Some might have been. But...
People say that the companion's not that important is because they're used to Russell smashing you in the face with a mallet, and don't realise that just because a writer doesn't stop the plot dead so their characters can whine about their feelings.
All right, we get the point. Next from Stu Badful, I'm going to watch this one. I've seen this before several times. Can't believe I didn't drop the like on it, but I've seen this before several times. Only going to watch some of it. which ones? Maybe Girl in the Fireplace, because I like that episode actually. Do I want to watch Silence in the Library? Time of Angels? Yeah, let's see what he has to say about Time of Angels. Let's see what he has to say about Impossible Planet. And I think that's pretty much it. Maybe we'll see what he has to say about Day of the Doctor as well.
Hints on the way that Moffat writes women mostly stem from this one. He gets away with it here, though, because historically, this is probably a realistic portrayal of Madame de Pompadour. Overall, though, the story is one of Moffat's most imaginative and balanced great ideas with emotional weight. Unlike most of Ten's era, it knew its limits on angst and when it should do it and when it should shut up and get the plot moving. And it's also one of few Moffat tales that delivers a real gut punch at the end. One of his best. Number 4, Blink. Some minor things bother me about Blink. People that dislike it call them major things, but...
Same, yeah. I would probably say Blink is a little overrated. Sorry for pausing. Just trying to get my thoughts together with what he liked about this. He said the emotional pacing, well-paced emotions, and imaginative. Even though it's historical, there's so many elements that this is why Spearhead from Space is still one of my favorites. It's kind of scary. Shop window mannequins coming to life. There's like a sense of realism to it, but it's such a big sense of imagination to it. Hell yes.
The story is one of Moffat's most imaginative and balanced great ideas with emotional weight. Unlike most of Ten's era, it knew its limits on angst and when it should do it and when it should shut up and get the plot moving. And it's also... Number 6, Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. Retrospectively, I now groan every time River says something enigmatic about what we'd see in the future, but her character hadn't morphed into a walking set of overconfident, over-sexual cliches by that point, and it's probably Alex Kingston's best performance to date. The story as well is really imaginative, and unlike lots of his...
Is it her best performance? Not sure if I agree with that. Beast Below has things to like about it.
Including Moffat's children apparently seem to dislike this one. I love it to bits personally because, yes, it is a stupid, corny story, although I find it to be very reminiscent of the Brian Williams era. Some things about the plot are really, really stupid, and the reveal was kind of obvious, and the politics stuff was very heavy-handed, but okay, there isn't much of a reason, but I really like this one. Number 9, Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. Before the Angels lost their sting a little bit, Moffat took them and upped the ante as you knew he would. Time of Angels did a good job following up on Blink, in my opinion, and a couple of...
I've said it before, this was the first Doctor Who episode I ever saw. Pretty much still... Is it my favorite modern Doctor Who? Pretty much. I do like it a little bit better than 11th Hour, I think.
Cool new things got brought into the mix with the Angels.
That which holds the image of an angel becomes itself an angel.
Which, you know, makes sense if you think about it. Part 2 gets a bit overindulgent and nonsensical in parts, but otherwise it's a well-written, self-contained adventure, and it feels to me like Moffat wrote this after having watched The Descent, which you should too in case you've never seen it. It's awesome. Number 10, A Pandorica Opens and the Big Bang. The Pandorica Opens was the first episode Moffat wrote that I didn't.
I like Pandorica a little bit more than Big Bang. See what he has to say.
Again, Impossible Astronaut was another lull for me. While there's nothing wrong with the central premise, the murder mystery of the series was woven in incredibly quickly. That and the silence... Nothing wrong with the central premise. The murder mystery of the series would wear thin incredibly quickly. That and the silence, I really wanted to like the silence. I really, really did. They're an eerie-looking alien. Their presence alone is what makes them scary.
Murder mystery element of Series 6 wore off. I guess because it was totally a bit inconsistent by Wedding of River song. The silence had a big impact on culture. I don't know if I would agree with his statement because Good Man Goes to War, I didn't like that episode when it first came out, but in recent years, years later, I was like, I think Good Man Goes to War is a pretty good episode. I think it's overall still probably 7 to 8 out of 10. Wait, but did that episode even include that much silence killing? And did Moffat even write Good Man Goes to War? Yeah, he did.
Then Moffat flushes that down the fucking toilet by having them make a woo face and having them shoot blue electric lightning and explode people. Yeah, looking at them and then knowing what they do is shoot blue electric lightning and explode people and go woo. Yeah, you really should have made their superpower
less is more.
Were you dropping banana skins, Moffat? Like, what the fuck were you smoking? Overall, though, the first part was really tedious to me. And yet Day of the Moon somehow made up for that. It was just such a deranged and bizarre second part that it just deserves applauding just for the experience, really. And while, yes, the foreshadowing was so annoyingly cack-handed, it was just such a weird part too, that in spite of its flaws, I think it was fairly enjoyable on the whole. And yes, I know that some people get bugged by the Doctor's genocide at the end of the episode as the resolution, but what I say is, maybe this Doctor is the man who never would, but the Doctor, if you look at all 11 incarnations, he has a long history of not always being the man who never would, who thinks...
That's what you see in the progression from 11 to 12. 12 is more comfortable in himself, in being awkward, in being a little bit socially sad, or and in some ways it feels kind of Sheldon Cooper-y, out of character for the Doctor. But yeah, like Clever Dick Films in his recent let me check one thing as I try to remember something. 11th Doctor was like way more like socially graceful, but there's a better way to put this with more depth. 12th Doctor, it's like this bit of ambiguity, this bit of fear within him. I don't know how to describe it, that he just lets out. This sort of malice, not malice, if that's the right word. Sorry, guys. Reason I was silent for a minute is because I was just thinking about some sort of subscriptions that I made, Patreon subscriptions, like Clever Dick Films, to watch his 12th Doctor review early. And so I was just thinking about if I have any subscriptions to stuff that I should unsubscribe from that are going to wear off. I feel like I might have like one that is going over my head. I really hope that doesn't come back to bite me. I really don't remember. Was that the only one that subscription that I subscribed to that I needed to unsubscribe to, or is there other ones? Oh gosh. I really hope that that's the only subscription. Is there some sort of editing service that I've used in the recent month that I had to unsubscribe? Don't think so. I don't think so. But while I think about that, let me go grab my phone real quick as I play the rest of this video. I will be smart. I don't need to stress. Where did I leave my phone? All right, yo. My lenses, my New camera lenses have come in. That's gonna be fun. Karma Feastables, old school Fun Dip, bagel, turkey cheese bagel. This white peach Red Bull. Hope it tastes good. And while this video is playing, I'm gonna check my sort of debit card history to see if there's any subscription type purchases that recent times that I might need to unsubscribe from. So let's do that.
In some cases, sacrifice is necessary to save people, and he deals maturely with the consequences of those actions and grows as a character. It's not really that much outside of who the Doctor is. Number 14, a good man goes to war. Plotty and predictable resolution to the River Song Amy might be pregnant arc aside, The Good Man Goes to War was an okay story. Albeit the Cybermen were kind of wasted on a plot that didn't really call for them to be there. They were kind of an interchangeable monster of the week again, like they usually are whenever they show up in New Who. I really wish someone would make them interesting again. And yes, that was bothering me throughout the entire duration, and yes, up to the ending, which I still hate. On the whole, A Good Man Goes to War kept a good pace and answered some questions, not all though, and frequently posed more, but at least managed to keep me entertained up until that cliffhanger, which still bugs me even now. Number 15, Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah, I don't like this episode anymore. But I did react to the regeneration, didn't I? One good thing about it. Day of the Doctor.
Ooh, that can of worms again. All right, I will accept people like it for their own reasons if they accept in return that I dislike it because of mine and the stuff I was thinking about it during it, which bothered me and are detailed here. If it works for you, fine. I don't want to take that away from you. I just felt incredibly unenthused by it on the whole and felt that Moffat could have easily done something much more impressive and celebratory than continuity wanking, and offering me long explanations of why it works won't really change my opinion on it. Just because Moffat feels the need to serve continuity, that doesn't make me stop and go, wow, that means I have to like it now. That won't stop me finding it boring. No, seriously, I've had this conversation far too many times with people. Apparently because Day of the Doctor brings the Time War to a close and works within the context of itself, I'm supposed to think it's awesome. Before anyone tries to do it again, I've been given the lectures on why I don't get it, and I'm a massive stupid face, but what those lectures all leave out is why I'm supposed to think Moffat explaining continuity is grounds for me saying it done something much more impressive.
I don't see this video on his channel anymore, but the main argument that he made is that it feels too fairy tale-y. And yeah, that's such a true, valid argument. All right, yeah, looks like this is good. It looks like in recent month or so, I have not made any subscription purchases that are gonna continue to be charged. So one less thing to worry about there.
And celebratory than continuity wanking, and offering me long explanations of why it
expend. I know that there's a term expenditure. I need to look up what it means. Expend. Basically to spend.
works won't really change my opinion on it. Just because Moffat feels the need to serve continuity, that doesn't make me stop and go, wow, that means I have to like it now. That won't stop me finding it boring. No, seriously, I've had this conversation far too many times with people. Apparently because Day of the Doctor brings the Time War to a close and works within the context of itself, I'm supposed to think it's awesome. Before anyone tries to do it again, I've been given the lectures on why I don't get it, and I'm a massive stupid face, but what those lectures all leave out is why I'm supposed to think Moffat explaining continuity is grounds for me saying it's brilliant and clever.
I don't care if it's not necessarily brilliant or clever, but after reading the Day of the Doctor novelization and rereading it a couple of times, it really brought a tear to my eye. That is good, decent storytelling. If you want to argue that it's not, I don't care. But with the spoiler, with the all 13 doctors in their own ways, in their TARDISes, saving Gallifrey, saving people from rooftops, saving people from tornadoes, burning things, saving people all over the planet. That is truly the Day of the Doctor. That is something they probably could not have pulled off visually on TV, probably on a cinematic level. They could have on film, maybe in some degree, but explaining that for the story, yeah, in terms of telling a great story, maybe you could have expanded into that, each unique doctor saving a unique part of Gallifrey in a unique way. That could have made for a story. But yeah, it's there. It's there. Okay, let's go back to Quentin reviews. Should we watch the Utopia review or go back to the 50th 2013? Let's go back to this. Name of the Doctor.
At least, not as good a job as secondary media has since then. At the start of the season, the Doctor set out to figure out exactly who Clara Oswin Oswald was.
In the show.
And even if the Doctor feels like he has personally answered this goal, it really hasn't been completed for us. The show has been so caught up in making Clara's history mysterious and making her relationship with the Doctor filled with distrust that when all of that was cleared away by the story, there was not a lot left to work with. In approximately 137 minutes, Matt Smith is going to be gone. And at that point, the show has a hard time figuring out what Clara is supposed to be, spending most of Series 8 trying again to make their relationship dysfunctional, when it really doesn't have any need to be. Of course, though, this is a list talking about these stories.
Yeah. I saw something, I don't remember where. Oh, yeah, it was the Clever Dick Films review of 12th Doctor. Looks like the political abortion statement that Kill the Moon, that everyone sees in Kill the Moon, looks like that was not intentional, even though it looks very, very intentional that they were going for an abortion allegory. Looks like that just wasn't intentional in the writing for the writers, which is insane. I don't know what to make of that, but I don't know what to make of the sort of mid-season Clara being like, "I'm done traveling with you, Doctor. I'm done with you." I don't know how to feel about that, because it's the middle of the season. She's not done, and she stays for another one season after that. So what was the point of that? And they do that again at the end of season 8. What is the point of that? All these random stupid goodbyes. Stop. These are things that deteriorate the story for me.
Stories in terms of how good they are as anniversary adventures. So what did I think of those opening and closing scenes? They're cool. I'll watch them again now and then. They're like 4 minutes in total, but yeah, they're neat. They're all right. They could have done more. Maybe pulled some unused takes instead of using shots from aired episodes. They could also have done a lot less. There was a lot of love put into this stuff. The interesting, of course, is amazing. It proves that Hartnell is a great actor, even from beyond the grave. The name of the Doctor isn't that big a deal, but I can't bring myself to be too mad at it. It's just a little treat that's not meant to be anything else. Number 8. At the time, the Prisoners of Time miniseries, promising to revisit each Doctor one issue at a time, was one of the most hyped projects to be announced for 2013. But keep in mind, and this might be hard to visualize today, before 2013, Doctor Who wasn't a show that commercially did throwbacks. You either...
Yep. Season 6 very much tried to be its own thing. There was barely any references to old stuff. Maybe the Cybermats. That was about it. Just a few random past references here and there in the 11th Doctor era. But that was one thing that was satisfying about the 11th Doctor, is by the end, by 2013, we were seeing these episodes with more callbacks. When stuff like season 6, especially, even a lot of season 5, but season 5 had a good amount of bit of classic within it, like references to the first Doctor and his badge and stuff. But anyway, like Psychic Paper, that's a bit of a tangent right now, but Psychic Paper is a really good introduction plot device for modern Doctor Who. The point I was making is I kind of was really intrigued at the time, being 10 years old, in the way that, for the most part, series 5, 6, and then a lot of 7 steered away from being callbacks to what the show once was. Tried to be its own thing, and you gotta respect that.
We got the current Doctor on TV show, the current Doctor done in an intelligent comic style that loosely tied into the live action stuff, or the current Doctor done in an overtly childish style. If you liked earlier Doctors, you either went into the vault or you checked out Big Finish, but even that was only for Doctors 1 through 8. Nowadays you got the Titan comics, who are great at being sure to do intelligent throwback standalones. But back then, we were happy to get a previous story mentioned, let alone revisited. So 2013 was a big year, and here's this comic. All Doctors, all companions, an epic, continuous story, and 12 issues. A 12-issue series, that's unheard of, even today. This has got to be fantastic. And at first, it was great. Really, really great. It naturally matched the tone and writing of the original eras of the show, but it wasn't afraid to branch out and to do more of what you could never have imagined on screen. Invasion stories with real aliens, action sequences, vast worlds with hundreds of diverse creatures. Invasion stories with real aliens, action sequences, vast worlds with hundreds of diverse creatures. The Third Doctor looks dope there. Invasion stories with real aliens, action sequences.
Yeah, the Third Doctor looks dope there with the Brigadier. Crack. That looks fire. Yeah. I gotta screenshot this. Put this on my vision board. Yeah.
Vast worlds with hundreds of diverse creatures, but still, the Doctor and Jamie, the Brig and Sarah, Leela and K9, while throughout the issues there is a slight buildup of the main plot, as the Doctor's companions are captured before his eyes at the end of each issue by a mysterious force. Each time, we built up more and more towards the main plot, slowly learning that this figure was a companion of the Doctor before he was betrayed and left alone, and that he is doing this to lead him to a final confrontation. Man, you gotta know that I love stuff like this. Big overlapping...
I've kind of got to re-listen to or finish listening to that Big Finish 8th Doctor, the 11. Wait, it's not called the 11, is it? Is it called Doom Coalition? Or is it called something else? But it's about this Time Lord bad guy called the 11. He has this crazy personality type of problem. But yeah, it's a great Big Finish. But anyway, I'm unboxing my new lenses here. I should probably go run upstairs, get my camera, and test the lenses out as I continue to watch this stuff and tell you guys what I think in real time. What is this right here? Cleaning pen. Interesting. Sweet. Previous live stream, I showed you guys the couple of filters that I already had. The sort of darker one and the purple one. Very well put together. So that means I'll probably only test a few here. I want to test green. I do want to test yellow. Yellow would be interesting as fuck. I'll probably leave orange in for now. I'll leave purple in for now because I already have purple. I do want to test blue, and I do want to test red. Even though I probably have an idea of what red looks like. Oh, this is orange. So this must be red. .58 millimeter. Yeah. Beautiful. Let me go run and grab my camera. Yeah, so it's the purple filter that I had. Let's take that out. I really like this filter. I really like it. Took it off for about a year, 2025. Kept it for several months in 2024. And we'll keep that lens for a good amount. First, should we try red? I think we should try yellow first.
Stories, a squirming plotline, and a giant mystery. And finally, in issue 9, dedicated to Christopher Eccleston himself, we saw the big reveal. Who was actually behind this whole shebang? The end to the question.
Hello, Rose.
It's been a long time. Adam? Oh my god, it was Adam Mitchell the whole time! That's the worst twist ever. I've never been so disappointed by a big reveal. Adam Mitchell? The guy we saw for 2 episodes? Hole in the head, Adam? Really? That's what you're going for with this story? We're dealing with a companion here who was written to be a test for the audience. He was designed to be a companion that the audience would despise. People compare him to Adric, but that's unfair because Adric had a pretty good concept and was built up well in early stories.
Adric is a
This
good
guy was
character.
conceptualized to
I
be the
don't
world's
get why
biggest
Adric is hated.
projects of 2013 that actually sought out doing the classic series proportionally to the newer stuff. We get this comic dedicated to connecting every era of the show as well as every medium and what connects 50 years.
Not bad how the yellow looks. I wonder what it would look like in different specific lighting. It looks how you would expect it to look. But what if it was like blue lighting, you know? If there was I have blue backlight on this TV. Do I want to turn the light off? See how that looks? 1 second. It looks good when I turn the light off and there's one light on. I really wonder what this would look like on your sort of bluer colored room. Outside it's very gloomy, you know, because it was raining. But the outside looks pretty green with this yellow, which is nice. Yeah, not sure when I would use this yellow lens, but quite a feeling. Kind of reminds me of the movie Enemy, kind of does. I'm sure there are settings that I would be very happy to use this in. The lighting in this basement is somewhat yellowish anyway, isn't it? So this might not be the best place to test this. Because outside the backyard there, it does look more green with this yellow. So that's interesting. Thank you for this lens. Thank you to this lens.
Of Doctor Who, something that happened 8 years ago. Basically, the very existence of the new series is what apparently justifies the entire show. Yay.
Right.
It does more than upset my classic series-oriented nerd mind. It makes the final issue and climax of the story painfully awkward. Because you've got like 120 cast members running around, but only 4 of them actually know who Adam is, and thus can actually put anything noteworthy into the conversation. So those 5 take up 90% of the dialogue in the final issue, while the rest of those in the story just stand around in the background like a mildly depressed, but mostly confused mob. And the more you look at the comic, the more it falls apart. As I said back when I was bad at reviews, issue 1's art wasn't as clear as it could have been, but I actually am a lot more fond of artists who don't get the look completely down than artists who just sketch over promotional images for 90% of their art. Confused mob. And the more you look at the comic, the more it falls apart. As I said back when I was bad at reviews, issue 1's art wasn't as clear as it could have been, but I actually am a lot more fond of artists who don't get the look completely down than artists who just sketch over promotional images for 90% of their artwork. Prisoners of Time likes to play itself off as...
Alright. What this red looks like. Damn, that is a lot. I thought it would be a lighter color. That is dark. That is a dark red. When would I think of when to use this level of dark red? When would I ever use this? That is some dark red. Let me see how it looks in the backyard. That is some dark red. When would I ever use this? There's something really, really intriguing about this dark red look. It's darker than the purple. This purple is relatively subtle. It's not too subtle, pretty purple, but this is very, very red, isn't it? I'm going to take a short little walk in the backyard for less than a minute or so and see what I discover with how this looks. Because there's something very intriguing about this look. Yeah, back guys. This red is quite a very interesting look. I'm sure I can get a few good ideas of scenes out of this, but I really would have to think about it because I don't want it to just be boring backyard nature footage. But it was pretty interesting. I'm sure I'll think of some good scenes with this lens. But I hope it doesn't look weird because only some of the scenes will be in this red lens. The rest of it will be in the other way I want it to look. Maybe that might make the film look a bit off because I don't think a whole film would ever be in this red lens. I'll think of a lot to think about with this bad boy. There we go. Purple looks like. See, pretty cool. This is what this one that I like looks like. Not too different, but kind of nice, you know. Let's try this green one, and then we have a blue one. Probably gonna like this one, I'm thinking. All right. It's all right on here. Pretty subtle, not that strong on this camera. Let's try on this DSLR.
Is unique in its all-inclusive attitude, and it's easy to get the impression that is correct early on. After all, they brought back not only Frobisher, but also dozens of...
It's very strong. In some lighting, it's very strong. In some lighting, it's very subtle, which I love. I love that, actually. I'm sure if I did this with vacation shots, it would look the perfect amount of daylight green. Let me step outside real quick. I actually really like this. It's strong, and like if I pointed at this screen of what I'm looking at, then it's very, very green. If I pointed at the table, the glass right here, then it's very subtle. So I'm gonna go outside for a second. And also one other thing I want to show you guys, like I said in my last stream with the lenses, how I was absolutely in love with the 50mm lens look in 2020. As you can see, can you see the dial? But I'm putting the zoom. I do my best to consciously put the zoom around the 50 mark for the sensibility. Anyway, be back. Yeah, I absolutely love this green. I love the way this looks. Next time I go out to the park or something, I'm definitely taking this lens with me and I'm probably gonna get so many good shots with this, just based on like 3 different zoom ins in the backyard. I am taking this with this green lens with me. Absolutely love the way it looks. When I bring the ISO down, it makes it defined. Like when I bring the ISO down to make it darker for the red, it makes it more defined. And when I bring the ISO up, it makes it look natural and really good. Beautiful lens. Doesn't look that good when I saw it on this camera here, but this is a beautiful lens. I'm taking it with me when next several times I go to film outside. I'm also going to take the red with me when I go outside and film, just to see if I can experimentally get something good with it. So red and green, especially green, definitely going to stay in my pocket next time I'm taking my camera out. So is this one that I haven't used since 2024. That I already got like 1 or 2 shots with. And last but not least, we have, for now, blue. Right.
A previous Who talent known to contribute to Doctor Who magazine. So as you can see, the book was obviously very dedicated to not only pay tribute to the show, but also to the comics. And nothing else. More moaning and groaning here, but it is quite oddity when the book pays this much of a tribute to one medium the show span off into, while completely ignoring all others. Why not feature an audiobook companion in one issue? Have Charlie running around with the Doctor in issue 8. Show a grand adventure featuring a cast who rarely are ever seen visually. It would be far better than the Grace issue, which is more insulting than gratifying, really. Look at the final issue. Every companion ever. As the comic loudly claims, you include every TV companion here, and yet you couldn't slip some more obscure secondary media stuff in there? With stuff like this.
I am excited to see how this blue is going to look. So far, green was my favorite. Before that, it was this. Blue looks fine. Not bad. Definitely not one of my favorites. I actually do still prefer this. I don't know what you would call this diffuser. Red is very unique, and it's hard to think of shot ideas with this. Something suspense building, like me running into a room, is the best I can think of. Blue, let me step outside. It's giving me episode 51, Breaking Bad, episode 5-1, is that what it's called? From season 1? Where it has that blue tint for Philadelphia. It's giving me that. Let me go step outside. Back. All right. Blue is all right. I'm not in love with it, not married to it. It's all right. Probably would take me a while to think of stuff that would look necessarily cool, but it pretty much looks like the blue color correcting that you can easily do on Final Cut. It looks just like that blue tint Final Cut has. Nothing special. Probably not going to take this blue lens with me when I go to the park or something next time I go out to shoot. Probably not going to take this one because it looks like when you color correct blue in Final Cut. But that's only out of just a few things from my backyard and a few things in this basement that I've seen it with. Maybe if I think of other stuff in other locations. But for now, definitely this gray, we'll call it gray, I think. Do we call it diffuser? I don't know, but I love this one. In fact, I'll go ahead and put it back on the camera. Although, do I want to clean it a little? Yeah. I've never seen a cleaning pen for a lens before. The yellow one I might want to take with me next time I go out. But definitely the green, definitely the red. And this gray diffuser one is going to stay on the camera because I already got a couple shots with it and I just love the traditional way it looks without trying too hard, you know. Thank gosh for the lenses. Sorry, let's play the video.
Sometimes the little touches are what really make the final product cool. And other than the Lee Sullivan issue, Prisoners of Time just doesn't have many pieces of fine detail. I just keep imagining how much fun I would have with this concept if I was handed the pencil board. All the obscure secondary companions that I would have hidden in the crowd, like a Who-themed Sgt. Pepper's cover. Hell, I would literally design a new companion and just hide him in the backdrop to confuse people. The closest we get to any throwbacks to the audio continuum in this series is one picture on a wall of the Sixth Doctor with his suit colored in blue. We don't get any other references or callbacks or cameos, which basically means that the people working on this strip thought that the 1966 Doctor Who annual meant more to the Doctor Who universe than the entire Big Finish range. Which kind of explains why the 10th issue was written like one of those weird 60s comics, down to having the Quarks as the main villains and having a storyline lifted straight out of Scooby-Doo. But despite all of these heated annoyances, I cannot help but admire the series for its ingenuity.
From the Dominators?
But despite all of the comics, down to having the
from the Dominators.
Quarks as the main villains and having a storyline lifted straight out of Scooby-Doo. But despite all of these heated annoyances, I cannot help but admire the series for its ingenuity, passion, and willingness to go beyond what is expected. For daring to get as many people involved as they could, for bringing the classics back to us, and for daring to wrap up a companion story, even if no one really wanted them to in the first place.
Sorry, I can't find the blue lens, even though I just had it. Did I put it away? Did I put it in my pocket? It's not on the camera. Put the red one back into the case. And we have this one empty case where the blue one should go. Oh, here's the blue one. Okay. These three, yellow, green, and red, I'm going to carry in my pocket. Probably not going to carry the purple one next time, but I'm sure there are things that I can think of where I can use this purple one. I might as well just go ahead and test out the other two colors. Let's do that. I mean, I know what purple looks like. I don't need to test out the purple. Let's go ahead and test out the orange.
Expected. For daring to get as many people involved as they could, for bringing the classics back to us, and for daring to wrap up a companion story, even if no one really wanted them to in the first place. Number 7. Soaring local, the embers of decayed demigods and guardians, perpetually recreated in harmony with boundless and relentless substance. A being's essence is much to be compared to a typhoon, hitherto as part of Stuberg. Luminous 24-hour periods, mopping a visible mass of condensed water vapor floating in the atmosphere away, forwards on my path until salvation is reached, where the air is sweet. For you see, this is a tale of how my life was flipped, turned upside down. The perpetual singular lesson that I have achieved after 21 years.
What?
You never know what is gonna come through that. Soaring local is part of Stuberg. Luminous 24-hour periods, mopping a visible mass of condensed water vapor floating in the atmosphere away, forwards on my path until salvation is reached, where the air is sweet. For you see, this is a tale of how my life was flipped, turned upside down. The perpetual singular lesson that I have achieved after 21 years.
Orange is fine. It looks like, mostly looks like red. Probably not going to carry it with me. I'll rather carry the red. Should I go step outside to see if there's any difference from the red? Why not? Let me just do that real quick. but inside here, it's barely that different from the red. Yeah, this orange, it's fine, pretty good, even. If anything, it actually reminds me a lot of the yellow and the red mixed together. Like I said, I'd take the red and yellow with me next time I go out to the park or something for outside footage. And the orange, I like it. I like it a little bit better than the blue because it reminds me of the yellow and red. And it'd be really interesting to see the differences between the yellow, the red, and the orange. The different sensibilities there. I like it. I like it. I like it a little bit better than the blue and the purple. Do I take it with me the next time I'm going out to the park? If I'm already taking the yellow and the red, that's the big question. Probably, just to give myself time to see the differences would be interesting. Wow, that was fun.
You never know what is gonna come through that door.
The light at the end was all right. Big Finish is
I like
strength
light
for
at the end.
multi-doctor stories. I'd say they do one every year or two. And that, in some essence, is the problem. TV multi-doctor stories have some space in between. Sometimes literal decades fall between one story and the next. So when it happens, it feels special, interesting, even. In fact, I would argue that a whole lot of multi-doctor...
This is probably why the next Doctor Who episode is going to probably be, in some form, in probably many forms, a multi-doctor, multi-callback story, because we've been waiting so long for the next episode of Doctor Who. It's probably going to have a lot of semblances to the past. Yeah.
Doctor Specials are a lot more flawed than we give them credit.
And there's rumors now that it's been scrapped and might not come back till next April or
for being so. But the fact that they didn't happen every 6 months makes the case that those aspects, in some way, don't really matter. Big Finish probably does too many multi-doctor stories. Featuring narratives where the Doctor's meeting is just some wacky thing that can happen in stories that have nothing
Big
to do with
Finish
them
does
meeting
do
each
a
other.
lot.
So there were just 2 multi-master stories in a row, a comic and an audio. And those were cool because that hasn't been a thing before. But honestly, I failed to find the same magic in this, partially because it's another alternate timeline storyline. Alternate timeline stories have started to bore me considerably. It's just an excuse for secondary stories to do big shocking reveals in moments without actually having to stick with them. Oh yeah, kill everyone. Do it. Press destruct button, because in half an hour, it's not going to matter anyways. 2013 was a year where stories were allowed to do big epic crossovers like this without making them seem pointless in the end. But Big Finish clearly didn't get the memo. Again, it's not that this makes the story bad, but rather that it makes it standard. It's cool that they put in as many cast members and cameos as they could, and that they put a lot of hard work into it, and that it really comes out all nice and shiny. But I can't justify putting it ahead of the many other stories that couldn't have been made in any other year for any other occasions. It's worth taking a listen at, and it really is good. But I doubt anyone would call it the best Big Finish story ever, or even the best one that had come out in November 2013. And I feel like this is exactly
What came
story
out?
ever, or even the best.
Really, there's better ones from that time I didn't realize. Lord of the Red Planets, is that a missing one of those it sounds like an Ice Warrior story, but there's the story that was going to replace the Underwater Menace. I think it was called The Imps. There's a few missing stories that didn't get made. Not missing, that were written that didn't get made because it would cost too much.
Best one that had come out in November 2013, and I feel like this is exactly where it deserves to be on this list.
You didn't talk about the plot of Light at the end. I mean, you did say that they kind of shoehorned in a lot of doctors.
No Who fans of Facebook. Send the vendors of Gallifrey, please. I shall notice upon you all. Too long I have stayed my hand. No more. No more. Today, you leave me no choice. Today, this land will end.
There's several grainy stuff, hair type of things, film artifacts on my lens here that I don't know how to clean.
I am very sick. And it's about time 2007. Bob Barker steps down as the host of The Price is Right. Halo 3 is a market hit, breaking industry records. The governor of Georgia declares a state of emergency after a hefty drought, and a billion other things listed on the Wikipedia page for the year. But across the continent, Doctor Who has just hit its third revived season. More importantly, marking one of the biggest transitions that the show has had to make up to this point. A world without a single little Rose. Rose Tyler left at the end of the season before this one, and while the program had previously proven that it could keep marching along after a major change, this was still going to be a significant thing to overcome. So how did the show do? Series 1 is a brilliant collection of beautiful stories that really only have one big flaw. Series 2 has weird character arcs, but it's still...
What do you mean one big flaw?
Brilliant collection of beautiful stories that really only have one big flaw. Series 2 has weird character arcs, but it's stuffed full of episodes that are just meh at worst and great at best. Series 3, however, has a lot more episodes which I can easily say aren't...
What was the one big flaw? They're just gonna leave us hanging?
The best things that I've ever seen. Honest... Oh. Series 1 is a brilliant collection of beautiful stories that really only have one big flaw.
What was the one big flaw?
Series 2 has weird character arcs, but it's stuffed full of episodes that are just meh at worst and great at best.
What is it gonna elaborate on that? Like, people love Series 1, like me included. I want to Google it. Big flaw about Doctor Who Series 1, 2005. All I can see is maybe the over-reliance on the Bad Wolf arc, and maybe some stories you could argue might have lacked depth, is according to what this AI search and assist answer is giving me. What is the main flaw that he's talking about? Time War? No reference to the 8th or War Doctor? What is the one main flaw? What is the one main flaw?
Series 3, however, has a lot more episodes which I can easily say aren't the best things that I've ever seen. Honestly, a lot of these episodes kind of meld together in my head.
Yeah, I agree.
They're more forgettable than bad. But most important to this was this season's version of Bad Wolf, Vote Saxon, which had built up a mysterious force running for public office in Britain behind the scenes. A few weeks before the start of the gripping finale, the big twist at the end was spoiled online, but this didn't stop us from striding forwards in anticipation.
So there we are, Series 3. Let's not waste any of this summer sun. This is Quentin Reviews.
What a remix.
We start out in the TARDIS, where the Doctor and Martha have landed on Earth to refuel. Captain Jack suddenly appears, jumping on the ship, causing it to freak out and catapult into the far future. So we cut to the very end of the universe itself, a point so far into the distant existence that I presume that they've stopped counting the zeros. Here, we initially meet a group of mutated alien wastelanders who... this is really low quality. I mean,
What?
those villains are so goofy that they
I
look
love
straight
you
out of
two.
the 80s. The sharpened teeth look as real as those crappy Halloween teeth you can get at Halloween. And they're
I don't
running
care,
so
it's a
camp and
great
cliched
episode.
that they remove any interest that could possibly be ascertained. We're also introduced to the character of Yana, a scientist trying to find a way to reach Utopia, alongside his assistant, the Blue Beetle.
John, you mustn't talk as though you've given up.
No, indeed. Here's to it.
The Doctor and crew finally plop down onto the same planet as the others, and Martha is terrified to discover that Jack is dead, and then more terrified to find out that he's not.
You abandoned me. Did I? Busy life, move on.
Oh, there we go. That's good. We need more of that and less of...
The Battle of Canary Wharf. I saw the list of the dead. It said Rose Tyler.
Oh, joy. My favorite thing. Talking about Rose. A lot. We haven't had enough of that in this season. Please go on. Jack and the Doc have some warm rememberings.
Is the one main flaw sort of the romanticism between the Doctor and Rose? No. In season 1, what is the one main flaw? The lack of continuity between the 8th and 9th? What is the one main flaw? I hope he explains himself.
Before they set off to explore this crazy alien world. I don't know where to start with this one. I mean, really, guys? Really, though? Really? Of all that the revived series constantly claims to be superior in every way, particularly in the department of budget, they still manage to use a quarry for an alien planet. Keep in mind, this is still one of the first alien worlds we've seen in the new series. Series 1 had no alien planets. Series 2 was the first to have an episode.
Oh! Series 1 had no alien planets. I couldn't realize that from a Google search, and I would never have thought of that if he didn't mention that. The long game takes place on a shuttle, but that's technically Earth shuttle in the future, like end of the world. A shuttle from the future of Earth is pretty alien because it is the future. It's a future version of the Earth. Millions of years or thousands of years in the future. It's kind of alien. That's kind of alien. But yeah, that is very, very fascinating. Season 1 would have benefited. It really would have benefited if we saw an alien world. Season 1 really would have benefited. But like I said, the marketing value of being down to earth, you know?
Set on a planet besides Earth, and it was literally called New Earth. So all this time, we've been waiting to see an alien planet that isn't Earth, and it's essentially the same set they've used on the show for the past 50 years. Yet I am supposed to perceive that because the new series has CGI animation, the special effects are somehow vastly superior.
That was a very interesting payoff. Me racking my brain around what he would say is the one main outstanding flaw. That is supposed to be obvious flaw. Couldn't think of it. And he points it out that there's no alien worlds. Yeah. And still, that doesn't deteriorate or make the story any worse. It really doesn't. Because there's one still magical.
This is not the case. Model shots will always come across as more believable than CGI when done.
Now that's making me think, did Series 5 have any alien worlds? Which was my favorite. Beast Below is a space shuttle in the future. Asylum is Earth. Sorry, not Asylum. The Dalek one that I reviewed, Victory. Angels, no. Vampires of Venice, no. Vincent, Dr. Hungry with Curled Blood, no. Pandorica. And am I missing one? The Lodger? Am I missing any from... Series 5 also doesn't have any alien worlds. When you itch your eye and your contact lens falls out. Yeah. That is a very interesting rabbit hole right now. How many of the 11th Doctor, my favorite Doctors, existed in a different planet? Rings of Akaten is the first one that comes to mind. Amy's Choice, Vampires of Venice, these are all Earth. That's really actually impressive that they're able to stick to all these different imaginative Earth time periods. Series 6 I'm looking at. The Doctor's wife is off planet. Yes, it is. Technically, yeah. The Doctor's wife. Rebel Flesh is the future. Good Man Goes to War is a army base, which is pretty alien. It's not Earth. Good Man Goes to War is alien, yeah. All of these are Earth. God Complex. A Girl Who Waited, is that Earth? No, it's the planet Appalachia. That was alien. Nice. Season 6 has a good amount of alien stuff. God Complex was an alien structure with humans. Very interesting episode. Yeah. Series 7. Of course, Rings of Akaten, I remember off the top of my head, is alien. Put dinosaurs on a spaceship feels kind of alien, right? The rest of these are pretty much Earth. Nightmare in Silver is the moon. Yeah. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to have to see the 12th Doctor era, how many of that took place on other worlds. Into the Dalek is technically, right? Or is it a human future? Where does Into the Dalek, where was that? Like, future military base? We're going to have to, it doesn't really say on the Wikipedia, we're going to have to assume it's future human military base. All of these are Earth. Time Heist, yeah, Bank of Karabraxos, off-world. Orient Express, kind of off-world, but it has humans. Series 9. I mean, of course, we have Skaro. I just reviewed Underlake Before the Flood several months ago, and the Zagon one. Other than that, pretty much Earth, except for Gallifrey at Series 9, which we were waiting for 10 plus years, 13 plus years by then. Series 10 didn't really go off world. Mars, Empress of Mars. And a spaceship. And Oxygen is also a spaceship. Didn't really go off. Wow. Modern Doctor Who goes off world at most 3 times a season at most. Sometimes not at all in a season. That's kind of impressive that it's able to be so imaginative on Earth settings. That is impressive. It does get old after a while.
Correctly. Many of you will try to counter this argument by pointing out the model kit props used in the 70s and 80s, but those were not quality as doing it right. I'm talking about Back to the Future models, which were considerably larger than average models, thus seemed more realistic. The special effects crew in the Cold War...
Wow, I didn't know that the train was a model like that. Okay, they used a model DeLorean for the final flying thing, yeah.
Which were considerably larger than average.
I didn't know this, that the train was a model. Nice.
Models, thus seemed more realistic. The special effects crew in the Cold War also used a model submarine, and that story had extremely successful special effects because...
Nice. Model submarine, I gotcha. Didn't know that.
Because they looked real. CGI, on the other hand, will almost always look terrible in terms of being a special effect, especially considering the BBC, who even in the 21st century clearly don't like spending money on things.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh, she was blind. I'm not surprised. You two, we're at the end of the universe, right? Right at the edge of knowledge itself, and you're busy
Blogging.
blogging.
It's weird for the Doctor to get all antsy about other people being all mean girls about his attitude. This is the equivalent.
Yeah, true. 10th Doctor has one of the worst attitudes. Just leaves Rose, leaves Martha. I mean, no, that's not fair saying that he just left Rose, but him using like Rose's goneness. Just to, yeah.
I'm talking about your ex so often that your friends start roasting you over it. It's a tiny bit mean-spirited, but you kind of deserve it.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. Martha is my favorite, pretty much still my favorite modern Doctor Who companion. Martha is the best. I do like her better than Amy, who was my first. Rose was my favorite at some point, but Rose was my favorite at some point. Pretty much Martha still is, yes.
Is that City?
It just looks like a canvas painting to me. I mean, really, the perspective on that shot is really weird.
Life will find you.
Well, he's not doing so bad.
Look out! They're lightly jogging towards you! So the Doctor, Jack, and Martha see some dudes being chased off by the mutant horde and decide to join in. Yeah, they just step right in front of that mutant horde. I mean,
very reminiscent of Unearthly Child a little bit. Oh, it looks like a composite painting. Oh, these people are lightly jogging after you.
I guess you can't hold back fate. Clearly this is going to happen to us. Might as well join in now. So the Doctor, Jack, and Martha run into this young man, really just slowing him down.
But it works. It works with the score, works with the acting, works with the legacy of Doctor Who. It works for Utopia. But from a review standpoint, Quentin is right and making good points here. Glad I'm watching this here.
And after a short conversation, decide to follow him to his silo.
Yeah,
Well, I guess dental hygiene's really important in the future of diplomatic relationships.
So the team enters humanity's last hiding place across the universe, a station where the final scraps of the race live in poverty in hopes of finding Utopia itself.
Yeah.
Good to see that human clothing has essentially stayed the same in the past 100 trillion years. Sadly, the only people to survive have been the hipsters, which means that our race is doomed, but it's not going to be that sad when the rest of them go off. The Doctor meets up with Yana, who it turns out has been
Great
trying to get the
character.
big rocket built inside the camp to work without any success.
Great character, and there's that Big Finish story, Master, which has been feels like about 4, 5, 6 years since I've listened to that. A great Big Finish story. Was that this guy? Was that this actor that played the Master, or was that Jeffrey Beavers or someone else that played the Master in that? I forgot if it was this guy or Jeffrey Beavers.
The Doctor thinks that he can figure out a workaround.
I wonder what would happen.
But this guy, if he came back as the Master, because we already don't know what the Master's timeline is. It's already very confusing. None of us know where Missy or the Spy Master Sacha Dhawan, where those Masters lie in the timeline after John Sims. This is the War Master that escaped the Time War. We really will never know the Master's true timeline. So this Master could come back. Instead of needing to invent a new Master, I think bringing back this Master would be interesting. Hell yes. But his story is pretty complete. He spent most of his life hiding from the Time War. Put his Time Lordness, persona, soul, Time Lord spiritness in that fob watch. That's how most of his life arc went. But you could still come back. Maybe before the events of the Time War, whenever he regenerated.
Obligatory, that's not actually the end of the episode comments. Shrug and wink.
Workaround.
I wonder what would happen.
Yeah.
On the ship and set off to find a new home to call their salvation. As this occurs, Martha talks to the Blue Beetle and discovers that she has a crush on Yana, because of course she does. Russell T Davies saw the entire universe as one giant romantic sitcom.
Yeah.
And if 880 years of age isn't going to stop the Doctor from seeing a figure as anything but a love interest, I don't see why an alien raised by an old man could see him as anything but, how about...
True, and there's that joke that the Chibnall era is pretty friggin' celibate. Romance just doesn't exist in the Chibnall era. Compared to, previous years.
Definitely nothing off the top of my head, as it were. Upon talking to Yana about his life, she discovers that he has a watch which he has carried his entire life. Just
9 years ago doesn't feel like that long ago. but this might have been made a few years before 2016, or maybe he did make this in 2016. Oh, he made it 3 years before this. Okay.
It's just the alternate Doctor who says, when he is human, Arthur realizes that this must mean that he is a Time Lord only disguised as a human, and excitedly runs off to tell the Doctor. And with that, Yana becomes self-aware and begins hearing the voices of guides of the human, and excitedly runs off to tell the Doctor. And with that, Yana becomes self-aware
and excitedly runs off to tell the
begins hearing the voices of previous incarnations within his own mind.
Yep.
As he opens the watch, Yana dies. As his replacement begins to attempt to sabotage the launching of the refugees off.
You are not alone. See, you could argue, you could be a critic and be like, yeah, it's kind of a shoehorned season arc. The "You Are Not Alone" face of Bo foreshadowing the Master. You could criticize that, but it gives you chills. I think it was effective. You could say wasn't the worst executed, wasn't the best executed, still was effective, gave you chills, led to 2 entertaining episodes, very entertaining scenes built around the "You Are Not Alone" reveal. Yana, satisfying season arc overall. Vote Saxon, the Yana, overall satisfying Doctor Who arc, and probably up there. Torchwood as an arc, I don't know if I like that a little bit more or less. I have to really think about that. Any factor with the Torchwood arc, the way it was used in season 2, that necessarily makes it more standout than Vote Saxon or Yana?
The planet, the Blue Beetle decides to strike back. Yana thinks that it's about time to finally get rid of her. Who are you? I am the monster.
What happened? He didn't like that?
Can I really do this? Sentence a story to death when I enjoy it so much? I can't.
I just talked about how when I just scratched my eye, itched my eye, my contact lens fell out. Found 2 contact lenses in my pocket. Yeah, life. Let's appreciate the small good things in life, you know?
How enjoyable this story was. I enjoyed it so much. I can't believe that I'd forgotten how enjoyable this story was. Every aspect, the slightly dark yet uplifting tone, the interesting story which reintroduces one of the greatest villains in the show's history, the subtle callbacks to the past, and of course, the actor, who has played the Master before, and in time to prove to be one of the best ever chosen for the role. This story is near perfection. Can I really continue this review?
Boy. The guy who played the Master in this episode played the Master before? Derek Jacobi, still alive. Hey, yo, I need to know what he means by... Oh, Scream of Shalka, which I still have not seen after 15 plus years of being a Doctor Who fan. I've not seen Scream of Shalka. Richard E. Grant is who plays the Doctor, and this guy, Derek Jacobi, played the Master. Oh, interesting. Anyway.
What? Why'd you sneak down here again?
Calm
down, just okay.
Who are you?
He looks a little like David Tennant in his getup.
Some guy that broke into my house?
Close, no cigar.
Then who the smeg are you?
I am. Spirit of the Doctor Who.
What? I'm glad he has 900,000 subscribers.
Yeah, but really?
I'm glad you have 900,000 subscribers, man.
Sexist line. Moffat is
a willy-nilly annoyance that otherwise isn't that much of a struggle. Seriously, imagine how contrived you would find this scene if the process of regeneration wasn't involved. Someone just standing around being mad about the fact that they have just been shot.
in this discussion that the drum beats in Yana's head are not a temporary effect of the chameleon arc, but it's revealed here that the Master has always had this drum beat in his head.
Which starts off a warning that Earth has been closed off to all aliens, alongside a 1 year later caption.
Oh. Earth has been closed off for
Here we go.
Shadow Proclamation. Good shit. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now we are watching part 2 of his 50th anniversary, which would take about half an hour, maybe less. And then we have Stew Bag Full. Then we'll watch some Smosh, and then more and more and more. This is part 3, I believe. Part 2, the Five-ish Doctors. I love the Five-ish Doctors reboot. I love the Five-ish Doctors reboot. It's been a few years since I've watched it. Where are you at? I love the Five-ish Doctors reboot. Night of the Doctor.
Number 6. To understand Night of the Doctor, you have to travel back in time.
Oh yeah, I remember Who Doodle, a Google celebration. The Five-ish Doctors. I love Adventure in Space and Time. I've said that before. It makes me cry. What is this about? Let's get it.
Context. It's November 2013. Moffat has been saying for months that he isn't planning on bringing any classic Doctors back for the anniversary season. He thinks it would confuse some of the fan base and would be off kilter. And we are left in the dark, thinking that this really is going to be something made by a man who doesn't get the fans.
We used to think
and
that.
Then we get a prequel story.
But probably not.
It's probably not the one you expected.
There was no leaked info about this one.
Wayne.
No cash sheet, but
no leaked info.
No accidental mention of the story at a con. Hell, Paul even said up to this point that he was upset to not be included in the celebrations.
Yep.
When the episode was posted, the thumbnail didn't have Paul, the description didn't have Paul, the title didn't have Paul. So here I am, trying to get ready for school, watching this while I put my pants on, and there's Paul McGann, and now I'm going to be late because I'm not waiting 9 hours to finish this. They played us for fools, and thank God it worked.
9 hours to finish it. It's 8-minute episode.
I'm going to be late because I'm not waiting 9 hours to finish this. They played us for fools, and thank God it worked. Because this was the best surprise of the year. And it totally showed that Moffat got what we wanted as fans. He closed the loop from 8 to 9 all the way through. And it showed off just how amazing Paul McGann is as an actor. To the point that I can honestly say that it makes me more sad that I can't go watch more seasons of the show.
Oh, yeah.
The Paul McGann era, 1996 to 2013. Number 5. Strangely high on my personal list of things that I was looking forward to amongst all the fanfare was the Google Doodle, which I knew was going to be forthcoming. Fans kept his... I suggested that Moffat was putting on a face of not caring about the classic series in order to make Night of the Doctor a bigger twist. But maybe he was doing it to make this mockumentary a little funnier. The Five-ish Doctors reboot is fun. It's an enjoyable little satire of the anniversary mentality and the struggles of classic series Doctors to remain relevant in a decade so fixated on young, attractive supermodel docs. Five-ish is an amazing spectacle of people across the community working together to make something awesome. The fact that they not only filmed linking segments to tie into the episode during the filming of Day of the Doctor, but they also filmed on the set of The Freaking Hobbit is really just too cool to describe. And the whole thing was just stuffed with so many fun in-jokes and cameos that you could only possibly get if you were a longtime fan. Down to the title, a spoof of the previous anniversary story, The Five Doctors, which had included truly only 3 actual incarnations. Stuff like this just really makes me understand how much people behind the show really care about it, more than we give them credit. Sure, the market for people who would want this kind of stuff is niche, but it's surely not one that they would try to ignore. And this was just enough to make some of us in the Who community quite content.
It shouldn't necessarily feel a niche that I think a majority of fans would want. What do you call this? A short mini-sode series like this with all these chock full of references to show how much these old actors loved this, working on this program. It shouldn't be considered niche, even though he's right. In that decade and in this decade, things about inclusivity, just different types of younger or whatever thing that they're going for with the changing up the Doctor and his companions and the changing of the show. It's like then having something like this with actors like 5, 6, 7 reflecting on what they loved as fans, being part of it. So good.
Number 3.
Adventure in Space and Time.
An Adventure in Space and Time is a docudrama that chronicles the original creation of the show in 1963. Doctor Who was created as a story piece that fell on the lines between the children's programming and the sports programming. The BBC...
And game shows, right? Quiz shows. I thought it filled in the time slot between quiz shows and the news.
Felt that if they could fill that section of the schedule with content that both children and adults could find entertaining, that it would mean a possible end to this dip in the viewing figures. Adventure follows the point of view of Verity Lambert, the show's leading producer, as she hunts for legitimacy in the business as the first female producer to work for the BBC.
Hunting for legitimacy, I'd more phrase it like proving herself, being like, yeah, might be kind of young woman in this production level role, but I can bring forth the best possible production, acting, thought out stuff. It wasn't like she was trying to weed through a bunch of traditional, some of it was with Sidney Newman, some of his sensibilities, no bug-eyed monsters when the Daleks were kind of bug-eyed, but way more interesting than that.
When Lambert is given the opportunity to be the show's main producer, she jumps at it, but finds that she has quite a lot to work against from the get-go, as many people fail to take her seriously in any manner. But alongside the show's first director, they are able to work past all of that as they grapple together a talented cast of actors alongside some brilliant writing. Is Adventure in Space and Time accurate? Probably less than I would.
It's not perfect because the Daleks did not say exterminate until like their second story or something, until the Dalek Invasion of Earth or something. They didn't say exterminate until then, and so they have reference to exterminate after the first Daleks story came out. So that's a continuity error. There was one other one. Some other continuity error that I forgot.
Admitted in the past, it does feel like the movie wants you to think that these two members of the production team were the only ones who were involved in any way with the show. And honestly, a lot of the character interactions kind of feel hokey in a movie sort of way that I doubt was really present when all of this stuff really happened. But as I've said before, it really is more about the emotions that surrounded these events. And the film does not falter in that aspect for a single millisecond. It's more important that I understand how it felt to reach those highs or those lows than to know about the creative process for designing the TARDIS set, or who thought of the idea to make the takeoff set with the keys. The film's writing is brilliantly structured in such a way that, with any other story, you might call it confused, but in this narrative, it's the point. When Hartnell enters the story, he sort of becomes a secondary main character to Hussein and Lambert, and then suddenly Hussein is no longer in the story, and then Lambert, too, is gone. And in both cases, with very limited exits. Once they're done in the show, we never see them again. There's no 10 years later coffee shop reunion scene. Once they've exited the show, they've exited each other's lives, and thus the film itself. Suddenly the main character...
Just writing down in my notes how important Adventure in Space and Time is to me. Just captures the perfect vibe. But like you said, yes, the departure is there, just treated as casual out of the life of the show, and the show moves on. It's kind of symbolic and parallels how the show was actually working, with the point that he said about the change with Rose after 2 seasons. The show just keeps changing the continuity with the change of the Doctor, the first Doctor after 3-4 years into the second Doctor, the only thing of continuity that there was in the show, changing after 4 years, and the show moving on. Pretty parallel to how it's executed later.
That we've grown used to being around are just missing. And it helps us understand how Hartnell must have felt to see so many of his beloved teammates just walk away from the show so recklessly. It's the most tragic thing about the show, probably. It has to keep moving and marching along. No matter who it loses or who it is missing, it simply can't stop. And Hartnell learns this himself. As his health
I watched this movie, rewatched about 4 times last year in the span of 2025, I think. About 4 times. I cried so many times in the middle of that, just appreciating Hartnell and all he brought to the role. Oh man, beautiful stuff. Then out of all the other random old black and white movies, black and white time actors that I've seen or rewatched in that year, just really accelerating and solidifying, enhancing the appreciation one has for Hartnell.
become too much, and he has to say goodbye to the thing that has consumed what it means to be himself. He's horrified by the fact that
It's funny. That guy looks nothing like Patrick Troughton.
he has to leave, but he can take some pleasure in the fact that his means to
That guy looks nothing like Troughton.
be himself. He's horrified by the fact that he has to leave, but he can take some pleasure in the fact that his legacy will last longer than he could even.
Somewhat of a resemblance to Troughton, but it looks nothing like Troughton. Looks more like a Three Stooges version of Troughton. Doesn't have the frowniness of his face.
Health hazards become too much, and he has to say goodbye to the thing that has consumed what it means to be himself.
It looks nothing like Patrick.
Horrified by the fact that he has to leave, but he can take some pleasure in the fact that his legacy will last longer.
This shit is really sad. I mean, yeah, it's just so sad. Matt Smith popping up. He's about to leave the role as well, fiddling with the old school TARDIS controls. Basically, the meta version of the story telling the past self that it's going to live on, and the work that you did was very important. It lives on 50 years later. Isn't there some theory that, like, this doctor maybe, I mean, it would make it tie into the actual Doctor Who show, but maybe there was a theory I saw somewhere that I don't remember, that the 11th Doctor just popped in here, maybe starts touching the controls for a different scenario. Maybe for the first Doctor to save Gallifrey, the coordinates to get him to save Gallifrey. Maybe he's typing in the coordinates to take him back to Susan. Whatever the 11th Doctor was doing, there's probably some meaning there.
Possibly imagine.
Beautiful.
Number two. Revisiting the past is cool and all, but sometimes creating a future is much more important. When Doctor Who was resurrected in 2005, a fresh facet was added to it that redefined a whole lot of the show's major themes and ideas. That of the Time War, a battle which took place between when Doctor Who went off the air and when it came back. And this was a brilliant addition, giving the show that dark twist that allowed it to seem set apart from not only the competition, but itself. But it never really was going to be a thing that could stay set in place for too long. Because while discussions of the Time War were great at giving the Doctor some sort of unique motivations and background, its main purpose was to wipe out a lot of cool ideas and planets from the universe, so you had to be very careful when bringing those up again. And when those are a lot of cool ideas and planets from the universe, so you had to be very careful when bringing those up again. And
I really don't think that was the Time War's main purpose, to wipe out existing alien references. I really think it was mostly to give the Doctor a little bit more depth, to make the show feel a little less cheesy, a little bit more PTSD's previous stakes that are defining the 8 years of the Time War, what that biggest war in the universe, what that impact is leaving on the Doctor. I don't see how the motivation for the Time War was to just cancel out other aliens from being referenced.
discussions of the Time War were great at giving the Doctor some sort of unique motivations and background. Its main purpose was to wipe out a lot of cool ideas and planets from the universe, so that you had to be very careful when bringing those up again. And when those are ideas the show kind of has to bring back at least once a year, it makes things kind of feel repetitive, because there's only like 2 main storylines that you can do under those limitations. The Time War is an idea that would have worked for a show that was supposed to run for 5 or 6 years, with one singular cast. But Doctor Who is a show that is constantly changing and evolving to new audiences, and new faces, and new ideas. Having the show be set in this one very thin corridor of limitation.
Yeah, there was barely any reference to the Time War in series 5 and 6, and I kind of like that. There's like one reference to the Time War. Series 6, did that have any references to the Time War? Series 6 gave the Time War storyline a bit of a break. And so did 2012. How are the were the Weeping Angels at all involved in the Time War? Do we know? I think there was maybe an explanation about that. I was really considering doing a video about the history of the Time War, the timeline of the Time War. And so I'm gonna write that down. The Time War was the Time War at all mentioned in series 6? But he brought up a great point that I wasn't expecting or really necessarily thought about, that Time War works great for a series that is meant to last about 5 years. So that made me kind of realize that season 6 and 5, like I said about an hour or so earlier, that Matt Smith era didn't really have that much callbacks to Doctor Who, even newer ideas like the Time War. Yeah. It does work better for a show that's meant to last about 5-6 years or something. Yeah.
Would never last. In June 2013, a trailer was leaked online showing exactly what we had in store for the big anniversary special that year. And what I mean by that is that the trailer was fan-made. Sort of obviously so, in hindsight. And it was clearly constructed by a master of special effects. This looks like the kind of story that I would like to go and see in a theater one day. A big Doctor Who movie with an Avengers-sized budget and mind-blowing special effects. But this would have been a garbage 50th anniversary story. Day of the Doctor is most likely the most justified multi-Doctor story ever made. Because instead of being an epic fireworks show of big explosions that have nothing to do with the fact that there are 3 Doctors standing in one room, the story dedicates itself to being a character study. Most of the best scenes I say aren't dedicated to the Doctor being clever or the 3 running around blowing stuff up, but rather...
Even the novelization goes more into that, being a character study. You are mostly seeing the internal monologues of how these 3 Doctors are a bit different. Anyway.
Now, before we get to number 1, I think it's important that we go down some notable mentions just so you people never ask me to talk about this stupid shit again. Highlight number 1, The Puffin Books. Alongside Prisoners of Time was another series dedicated to releasing sci-monthly stories set to each Doctor, and I didn't like them nearly as much. I actually kind of stopped buying them after the 3rd one. I know I praised a big hand for the Doctor, but it's more because I kind of thought that I had to. It was okay. 2nd book, weird, okay. 3rd book, it was alright. I was making a lot of money that year. I was basically just burning down my Christmas money, and it seemed like I was wasting a lot of it on this crap, so excuse me if I didn't stay dedicated very long to this boring, forgettable, average series that everyone has already forgotten about. Highlight number 2, The Doctors Revisited. The Doctors Revisited was an attempt by BBC America to do mini documentaries on current and previous Doctor Who stories and actors.
No, yeah, this series sort of retrospective, decent stuff. Kind of, I'm thinking about if there's one that I would like to rewatch.
And it's really pretty badly done. I think that the main problem is that other than Moffat, most of the people haven't watched these episodes in like 20 or 30 years, so they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And there's this weird underlying bias to it. I think someone in the
there is a underlying bias towards it. You're talking about the show that you made that has such a big legacy now, and probably haven't watched the episodes. And there is that sort of sense that do they know what they're talking about? Even though I haven't watched Doctors Revisited in maybe a few years now.
Really says it gets better later on. Actually forgot about this thing until I opened the original document for this review. Wouldn't have talked about it otherwise. Really not worth the time. Highlight number 3, any Big Finish audios I didn't mention. Big Finish is sort of a factory of big important stories that come out every month. And I don't listen to a lot of them because, again, I'm poor. And of course...
Yeah, Big Finish will break my bank too, yeah. Been about 3 years since I've purchased a Big Finish story. Because I can't really afford it. Alright, what's this?
Series, even some books, but honestly, I can't be bothered. I just can't imagine sitting through those things right now, so they're not going to be on the list. I'm sorry. And with that, let's not hold back for even one more second. And now, the number 1 anniversary story of 2013. Some people will tell you that An Unearthly Child really is a dry, worthless story that simply has nothing of real value to contribute. They'll say that the show really should have started off straight on the bat with the Daleks, and that anyone starting off on the show should really just skip anything that Earthly has to contribute. Those people are wrong. An Unearthly Child, or 10,000 BC, is a fantastic character study that sets in place the dynamics between the TARDIS crew, as well as how each of them will interact with the world around them.
It sets up a tone of survival of the fittest, where the Doctor and friends realize that they can't really survive this situation in the cave without their tools. Doctor is forced to be, what's the word? What's that word? Luddite. There's probably a better word for it. Sort of can't use his modern technology. And and it has to do their best to try to teach the cavemen people about the value of friendship, even though it's about power, who can create fire for them, and yeah, burn their skulls and stuff, stuck in a cave. Yeah, I like Unearthly Child. I like the settings a lot. Yeah, great stuff.
The great mystery of who the Doctor is and what he is willing to do. Ian's tendencies to find great skepticism in everything around him, while Barbara tries to keep an open mind. Susan's juvenile mindset that can often only seem to get the group into new trouble. If the story had been written even slightly differently, it would have created a ripple effect throughout the entire black and white run of Doctor Who, alongside everything that actually followed afterwards. Without this initial four-parter, there is no Doctor Who. No TARDIS, no Doctor, no anniversary. So why is it, 50 years since this episode first aired, there has never been a proper revisitation of it? Hunters of the Burning Stone is a direct sequel to An Unearthly Child, reuniting the Doctor with his original two companions all these years later after someone tried to kidnap the both of them. There has never, ever been a more flawless attempt by a story to seam the line between a gap in the show like this. By the nature of the fact that Doctor Who is a real TV show that has to be filmed without the aid of time travel, there's always going to be a line of separation between every era of Doctor Who, just by the fact that it's hard to cross that barrier. Madame Vastra is never going to meet...
Yeah, Madame Vastra's never going to meet Jaegor Lightfoot. Yeah. All right, very cool video. Now we are on to Breaking Bad. Stu Bagflick. I don't know if I've ever watched this. I don't remember it. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about this. Don't remember watching this. Breaking Bad, top 3 favorite shows with Doctor Who and Drake and Josh. I have to see what this guy has to say about it. Let's get it.
What,
you don't like Breaking Bad, man? Come on. Criticizing Breaking Bad. Oh, so he's gonna have a bit of a negative opinion. I mean, the humor in it is dark humor. I do like the Fly episode. I don't think it's crap.
Okay, how do I say this? I just thought Breaking Bad was quite good. No, not bad, just not the best thing ever, like everyone says it was. And oh god, what are you doing? Oh god, no. Ow. Okay, lesson learned. Can I explain why now?
It's fair. He said it's pretty good, and like, I don't really care about a show like Stranger Things. I just don't vibe with it, but a lot of people say that show's really good. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of examples for me of shows that I don't really care that much about, that if I watch them, at best I think they're pretty good, and people would probably be like, are you kidding me? It's amazing. But yeah, he's fair to have that opinion. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. It shouldn't be above criticism, but to me, pretty much top-notch TV, Breaking Bad. No more needs to be said about that.
Thank you. Okay, so I totally loved seasons 1 and 2 of Breaking Bad. I was thoroughly on board. It was just around the point where it hard-boiled itself and started to become so gnarly and harsh that I began to lose interest, which appears to be the opposite reaction that everyone else had. So
Yeah,
let's start this.
That's interesting because, yeah, Vince Gilligan said that his intention was to try to see how much of the audience you could kind of shake off from kind of supporting characters like Walt. They were deliberately trying to push the edge a little bit, but I think it works phenomenally with like Jesse being like realizing he has to kill 2 dealers by season 3, Walt helping him do that, Jesse having to kill Gale. The grittiness really works for me. Yeah.
Start. We open the series on Walt in his pants trying to take charge of a situation that's gotten out of control, and immediately filling me with warm and fuzzy nostalgic memories of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, who Bryan Cranston will just always be to me. And he's all bumbling and clearly out of his depth, and this kind of establishes what Breaking Bad was to me. It was a sitcom. A really, really dark sitcom. So a chemistry teacher gets diagnosed with cancer and starts cooking meth with his rubbish former student, and the pair of them can make the best meth
but they're really shit drug dealers and feel totally out of place in the gritty and real world of drug gangs. Oh no, Walt and Jesse have killed someone. How on earth are they going to get rid of the body? Oh, those guys, what are they like? I wonder what sort of crazy hijinks they're going to get into next week. Oh no, his brother-in-law's a cop and is talking about a new drug kingpin, which is secretly Walt. Better sneak around and make sure he doesn't find out. Oh no, Walt's been missing for days. How will he explain his disappearance to his family? His bright idea is to wander naked into a supermarket and pretend he's lost his memory. The comedy angle sort of got lost in future seasons as events took more tumultuous, dramatic turns, and Walt starts turning into the monster that he is by the end of the show. And yes, this metamorphosis is all very interesting, and yes, I understand why it works and why it's such a superb and groundbreaking bit of drama. It's just I'd actively have to push myself to keep going.
What is Mr. Chips? I keep hearing that expression is what Vince Gilligan was going for. I imagine like a Mr. Rogers type of thing. It's like it's some book.
Going because it was getting so fucking grueling. Not all TV shows.
I said it before, by season 5, I would say, first half of season 5 is at least around the time when Walt becomes a bit completely unrootable. You could argue it's by season 4 a little bit when he's trying to manipulate Jesse more and you find out that he poisoned the kid. But yeah, by season 5, the way he's keep determining the meth empire business, like, I'm not going to go down without a fight. I feel like season 5 is when he becomes completely unrootable.
Shows have to be fun, of course, but it just got more and more difficult to say to myself, yeah, I'm going to sit down and have a grueling, miserable experience in front of the TV this evening. Yay! I know that because this fan base is so passionate that I'm almost certainly going to get 60,000 word-long comments of essays detailing why I'm wrong and you are right. And the reason for that is that I don't understand it and that there's something small and pathetic about my brain and how your brain is so much bigger than mine, and that is because you're smarter. Let us measure our brains with this
Get to the good stuff. I don't care.
Works and how and why it became so harsh and horrible. And yes, I do appreciate that. It's just this was how I ended up feeling about it. No, I understand it and I do kind of like it, but I can't help the way I reacted to it. I actually loved the shit out of the Fly episode from season 3 that people seem to dislike. Yes, it's a bit plotless and insubstantial, but it's one of my favourites because it was just about a fly. It added some levity and warmth and humour to the proceedings again, because Jesse's girlfriend's dead at this point, and things have been getting a lot nastier lately, and I found I did need something small and insignificant to just let me enjoy Walt and Jesse as people again. Because season 3 was just getting so fucking heavy. I also started to feel like I was getting sick of the endless water cooler moments. They were good for a while. People would strike up conversations about Breaking Bad and go, dude, did you see that episode? Oh, that was so totally messed up. And yeah, the first dozen or so times it happened, I was also like, yeah! But after the next 1,000 and millionth one, I was just sort of like, yeah... I don't know about anyone else, but it started appearing to me that around the time the show was really gaining traction, that they started consciously writing it with the goal of eliciting that reaction in mind. And maybe that works to some people, but to me it just got fatiguing after a while when I was supposed to have this big, huge, intense reaction at the end of like every other episode.
I never felt fatigued by it, if anything. All these intense moments in different phases of what they build up to. Yes, I was under the sort of mindset that I loved season 4 the most for some time. Then I'm like, season 4 is probably not the best, probably overrated, probably the worst. Because all that happens is it's building up to Walt killing Gus. That's pretty much the arc of the season. Jesse driving around with Mike. But as a season, it just feels so much more than that. I'm really trying to remember. Season 4 just feels like 1 month, 2 months at most. I just rewatched Breaking Bad over the past couple months, and season 4 is kind of blurring into my mind. Just what really happens. Jesse and Mike drive around, and Walt decides to kill Gus. Gus tells Walt that he's done working for him. Well, but why? Why did Gus fire Walt? I forgot. Just basic, the clashes with Gus's men. Oh yeah, Hank driving too close to the thing. I'm looking it up so I can see, so I can kind of. Yeah, stuff like having to give all the money to Ted. Walt really leaning into his badness, really owning with style and charisma the bad person that he's become, really stepping into that by this season. Yeah, it's just Jesse and Mike driving around. Walt's again getting into fights with his wife. More of the cartel and GPS tracking from Hank. Yeah, man. What I should try to make a video. What makes season 4 what really Gus could have fired Walt any minute. It wasn't until he realized that Jesse can run the lab himself. So I'm right when season 4 is really all about leading up to Walt killing Gus. Why did that make it my favorite season for some time? Still, even after rewatching it a month, 2 months ago, still crazy to answer that. And after watching Better Call Saul, still a crazy question to answer.
And you know me, I'm a moody
Stand up.
fucker already. I can only really deal with so many moments of intense drama. I did finish it, but I'd gotten tired by the end and I wasn't really having fun anymore. And yes, I know that fun's not what this type of show's for, and people without a dark sense of humor may find it hard to see how anyone could take a show with cancer as part of its core concept as a comedy.
Yeah, it is for fun. The sort of cancer element is very dark, but yeah, the people die. Some of the elements of people dying is very dark. But no, like that comment about nobody referring to Breaking Bad as a sitcom, no. even after not watching it for about 3.5, 4 years, and rewatching it and being like, wow, that moment, that dialogue was just really funny, even though the scene before this was probably really dark. And I was like, and then you watch other interviews with the cast and you're like, yeah, people like Betsy Brandt and Hank Dean Norris, when they first read the Breaking Bad pilot scripts, they thought it was a dark comedy too. So no, I'm not the only one, and you should be able to see the humor in it, you know.
Any stage in its lifetime. But as said, that's kind of how I took it from that wonderful first scene, and just
it is a wonderful first scene.
I just miss Malcolm in the Middle, all right? That was probably what my problem was the entire time. Then yes, it probably is just particular to me. I miss it. I miss Hal's dumb.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't really the most informative Stu Backflip video. I went into my own tangent there about what made season 4 captivating and also boring and not captivating. But, you know, like I said, the biggest thing, Walt really has leaned into his criminal side with style and elegance. Like, he's like, I am the one who knocks. But the context of that scene is he's pretty much bullying his wife. His wife is scared for their lives and stuff, doesn't want Walter around the house, and Walter is talking about how badass he is. That's really like the kind of douchey context of that, even though it's such a badass iconic line. There's so many statements and things to conclude out of what they chose to give us in season 4, but some of it, a lot of it being 12 episodes, really meshes together. Feels like it could have been told in 5 to 8 episodes, because yes, the season does feel like a month, 2 months maximum amount of time. 1 or 2 months maximum is how long season 4 time frame is, right? Does anyone disagree with that? That's just based off how I'm feeling mentally about it. Maybe the timeline for season 4 is different. Let me do that real quick. Look that up. Breaking Bad timeline. Season 1 is like what? Like a month. Come on, load. I just want to look at the Breaking Bad timeline. Stop asking to verify if I'm a human. Fucking stupid ass browser, man. Alright. Come on, please give me a timeline website I can actually click on. This can't be this difficult to find a timeline. Fuck this browser, guys. It's not letting me access barely any websites that will show me the timeline. No, I want an actual timeline of the months, not just 2008, 2009, 2010. They did this, this, and this. Again, this is just showing decades and years. This is not really giving us anything. What are they fucking talking about with this bullshit? I found this Reddit page, but I have no idea what this is talking about. So it's saying 2009 in Breaking Bad started in season 2, episode 5. What did I just say? Season 2, episode 5. I don't think I'm gonna get an answer to whether season 4 was 1 or 2 months. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up on my tablet because this browser this fucking sucks. Can't believe I didn't look this up earlier. You kind of just piece that together in your head. Breaking Bad timeline. If I don't find a straight answer, I'm just gonna stick to what I said, that it takes place in like Hector Salamanca. Charles Chuck McGill was born in 1944. Oh, Chuck McGill is older than Nacho's dad. Mike Ehrmantraut is only supposed to be a few years older than Chuck. I found a good timeline page here. Oh yeah, Walt's father died when he was young. The cartel was founded in 1971. Lydia and Gail are probably the same age, yeah. Howard Hamlin joins HHM in 1985. 1985 is also that scene where Walt and Gretchen are analyzing the components of the human body. That was supposed to be 1985. Cool. Gus enters the meth business in 1988. I think the only explanation for Walt getting cancer is maybe the toxic chemicals that he worked with in his chemistry labs. That has to be the only explanation for how he got lung cancer. Oh, Nacho has been working with Tuco since 98 or something. This is so stressful. We're not even in the Breaking Bad timeline part of what I'm reading. This is really stressful. Trying to get to the 2009s. Here we go. And so I wasn't far off. Season 4 is from May to July 2009. Yeah, got the answer that I wanted there. Oh, what a day. All right, Smosh, Assassin's Creed 3.
Look at that guy's hood. It's so big.
Shut up!
Fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. I shoot a mofo in the throat with my bow. I'm a hot chop is my death freedom fighting machine. Big ass hatchet in hand. Why'd you have to kill my bros? I'm a slasher face man. I'm a famous skilled assassin, killing dudes that wanted to. Blood flowing like a river, need a box of tissue. When I'm hunting, I be stunting, you could never find me. In the bushes, in the haystacks, in your mother's laundry. Watch me coming free, running up the walls like a boss. What's you looking at, bitch? Chase my tomahawk chop. Fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Oh, in the throat with my bow. Tomahawk chop is my death blow. How many fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Tomahawk in the throat with my bow. Tomahawk chop is my death blow. Tomahawk, 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 tomahawk. Girl, I'm bossing to it. Why? Always up to no good. Don't know how I can see out this big ass hood. Walking through the crowd. secret attack. Jumping off of giant buildings like I was a Superman. Use your mama as a windshield every time that I can. Take a break from the war to hunt for some meat.
What? A man's gotta eat.
Don't get in my way. Shoot my foe in the throat with my bow. Tell her how to job is my death blow. How many fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Shoot my foe in the throat with my bow. Tell her how to job is my death blow. Tomahawk, 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 tomahawk. Tomahawk, 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 tomahawk.
Oh, first in the verse, feel the clack of wooden teeth. Bread and butter, lift the covers while you find the fucking heat. Revolution I lead, with the world I got beat. I did my winnings powder, wear boxes, I don't wear briefs. You can't step up to me and my gang. Horse and carrots, drop by, bullet in the chain. Riding over your cliff, like the Delaware son. I get my face on the dollar before this shit's done.
Don't get in my way. Shoot my foe in the throat with my bow. Tell her how to job is my death blow. How many fools can I kill today? Too many to count, don't get in my way. Shoot my foe in the throat with my bow. Tell her how to job is my death blow. Tomahawk, 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 tomahawk. Tomahawk, tomahawk.
Is my screen glitching? Dope. Wow, guys. That was really fun. That was so dope. Watching that after all these years. And I said in my last video, what did I say? This video really inspired me when it came out. Actually the summer before this, a few months before this, I was really into Assassin's Creed the couple of years before this came out. But anyway, I had seen this one Assassin's Creed short film. The Smosh video is low-key a little bit better. Yes, it was Corridor Digital. Corridor Digital. This is a damn good oh, it came out literally the same time as the Smosh one. This is a damn good short film. The Smosh one, I see why it has more views. Probably deserves a little bit more views. But this is also a really good short film. Let me...
Okay. Let me take this from you.
This is a good.
My lord.
Oh, I already had it in there. Dope. So dope.
Quite the little savage you are. I fear you are not much of a marksman, though. The crude hands of a farmer are better left to aiming plows than muskets.
Wait. Better luck at aiming plows than muskets with those arms. Wow. Insane. Cool shot, cool shot. Very, very dope. I want to make action scenes like this. Can I do it myself? Do I need to find an actor? I don't know. Hells to the F yes, guys. Alright, you guys. We'll call it a day right there. That was a very, very fun time this afternoon. Hope you guys stay healthy, stay happy, stay motivated. This was the type of day / stream where I researched stuff that, you know, in some of those moments, it was making me feel a bit pessimistic, a bit like, what's the point? But when it comes to topics like quitting smoking and that being hard for some hours, but you know what? I'm feeling a bit of, hopefulness. I'm going to live more healthily as time moves on, as projects come to fruition over days, as I lay down the sound design ideas and stuff and all that. And yeah, now that was fun unwinding a little bit. Yeah. I'm gonna try to spend some time mentally thinking about good things I can do, like a little bit of a motivational vision board. I could take steps towards that, like when I was screenshotting stuff. What else could I do? I'm trying to take a break from the story element so that until the next great story ideas come to me, until it's bursting out of me, you know. So yeah, I think just for now, I'm like, I kind of just want to go sit over there on the TV, on the couch, and watch some Modern Family. But I've rewatched Modern Family so many times in the past year. But it might pretty much also be the subject of my next TV fights, though. Yeah, guys. I'll figure it out. Probably look at some of my old outlines and see what story ideas are screaming out at me that I can turn into actionable things to film. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with all the progress and everything. See you guys next time. Peace out.